Chapter 46. No. Yi Fengyu lowered his voice, not wanting to disturb Yi Qingluo. He pulled Ziling back to the door, frowning slightly. The greatest taboo for an alchemist is to be disturbed, especially when refining pills with divine sense. The danger is even greater. Failure in refining pills was a small matter. What was feared was that it would hurt the alchemist's body, and even more serious might cause damage to the alchemist's divine sense. Ziling anxiously stirred her fingers. Then what should we do? Those people from the Wuxia family are too overbearing, we can't stop them. Just as she was speaking, outside the courtyard, there were already countless sounds of hurried footsteps. The door of the abandoned courtyard was banging loudly. There were also a few dignified voices shouting and cursing. Yi Qingluo, don't hide inside like a turtle. Since you dare to hurt our fourth young master, you should have the guts to bear our anger. Yi Qingluo, get out here. I will let you know the consequences of going against the Wuxia family. These shouting and cursing voices were very unfamiliar. There was also Yi Tianquang's angry low voice, evil creature. Quickly open the door, otherwise don't blame me for breaking in. Hearing Yi Tianquang's voice, Yi Fengyu was stunned for a moment. It was actually his father. Very quickly he understood. It turned out that his father had betrayed his sister and wanted to hand her over to the Wuxia family. Yi Fengyu's eyes flashed with anger, his 5 fingers clenched tightly. He really couldn't understand why his father always targeted his sister. Even if his sister was a waste, unable to cultivate profound qi, but after all, wasn't she his daughter? It was said that even a vicious tiger wouldn't eat its cubs. But his father didn't care about his sister's life at all. For a moment Yi Fengyu felt complicated. In his heart he felt even more guilty towards Yi Qingluo. Born from the same mother, twin sisters, he enjoyed the treatment of the Yi family's young master in the front yard. But his sister was living a life worse than that of a servant. Anger welled up in his heart. He strode to the abandoned courtyard's door and opened it. Outside the door stood 3 middle-aged men. The man at the forefront wore a navy blue robe, with a golden silk belt hanging from his waist, and at a glance it was obvious that it wasn't an ordinary pendant. His face was full of majesty and his aura was aggressive. As for the 2 people behind him, they were the ones Yi Fengyu had seen that day, the 2 9th-grade mystic Profound Realm guards. Yi Tianquang stood behind the 3 people, his face ashen. At his side was the steward of the 3 Springs sect, Yi Changwei. The moment the door opened, they wanted to rush in. When Yi Tianquang saw that it was Yi Fengyu, he frowned. Yi Changwei was very good at grasping Yi Tianquang's mood changes. He immediately said, 8th young master, you are the Yi clan's 8th young master. How could you come to this kind of place? As he spoke, he stepped forward to grab Yi Fengyu's hand. Yi Fengyu's cold eyes swept over, and he waved his palm to strike Yi Changwei's hand. Yi Changwei's profound rank was higher than his, but he did not dare to counterattack, and could only avoid Yi Fengyu's palm energy. You also know that this is such a place? Yi Fengyu suppressed his anger and glared at Yi Tianquang. Father, I am the 8th young master of the Yi clan. Staying in this abandoned courtyard is an insult to my identity. Then have you ever thought that the person living in this abandoned courtyard is the 3 Springs sect's young matriarch, the Yi family's first daughter, Yi Qingluo? You are. Yi Tianquang sternly berated, pay attention to who you are talking to. How could he have expected that Yi Fengyu, who had always been obedient, would use this kind of attitude to question him because of Yi Qingluo? Didn't Yi Fengyu always detest and loathe Yi Qingluo the most? Chapter 47. Sister, why are you? When Yi Fengyu heard this voice, he turned around in astonishment. He saw Yi Qingluo striding elegantly and slowly walking over. That red dress, as she walked, her skirt fluttered like a blooming rose. On that unparalleled face hung a light smile, captivating one's soul. Ziling, tomorrow hang a signboard for me, on it write, livestock not allowed, hang it above the main door. Yi Qingluo walked over and gestured towards the door. Yes, Miss Linger will go prepare now. Yi Tianquang clenched his teeth in anger, angrily pointing at Yi Qingluo. Unable to restrain his anger, he roared, evil girl! You dare to insult me! Yi Qingluo rolled her eyes. Father, I can't do anything about it. Yi Tianquang's wantonly anger and hatred in his heart slowly surged up. So this is the discipline of your 3 Springs sect, actually allowing the younger generation to offend their superiors? It really broadened this old man's horizons. The middle-aged man standing at the forefront glanced at Yi Tianquang with eyes full of ridicule. Yi Tianquang immediately felt his face lose light. He gritted his teeth in shame and indignation. Steward Yuchi, I didn't teach properly. Today I will hand over this evil girl to you. You can punish her. Steward Yuchi sneered, waved his hand, and two mystic profound grade 9 protectors were about to enter the broken courtyard to capture her. Let me see who dares to enter. Yi Fengyu was anxious. He took out a long knife from his spatial ring and held it tightly in his hand. He stood in front of Yiqing Luo, his eyes staring fiercely at the person in front of him. Today's matter is clearly your fourth young master's fault. You want my sister to take the blame? No way. You, come over here. Yi Tianquang's expression became increasingly dark. He cast a sidelong glance at Yi Changwei. Yi Changwei understood. A palm wind came out, wanting to scare Yi Fengyu. This palm had yet to move. Suddenly a cold wind attacked, a sharp pain in his wrist. The sound of bones breaking was extremely crisp. The scene was silent for a few moments. Immediately after was Yi Changwei's painful scream. A slender white hand slowly slid down from Yi Changwei's arm. His wide red sleeves fluttered in the wind. Yi Changwei hugged his right hand and knelt on the ground. His entire face twisted in pain. Everyone's gazes fell onto Yiqing Luo in unison. His eyes were filled with disbelief. She was at least 4 to 5 steps away from Yi Changwei. Between them was Yi Fengyu, Steward Yuchi, and the guards. But, when exactly did she get close to Yi Changwei and pinched his wrist? No one knew. Just what kind of movement technique was this? How could it be so strange? It was so strange that it made one's hair stand on end. Steward Yuchi's face was gloomy. He had heard the guards talking about Yiqing Luo's strange movements. After seeing it with his own eyes, he knew that the guards were not exaggerating. He raised his guard in case Yiqing Luo silently appeared around him. Insubordination? In front of my lord father, you actually dare to make a move against the son of the first wife? Are you tired of living? Yiqing Luo snorted coldly. Soon after, she raised her eyes and met Yi Tianquang's angry eyes in a manner that was neither servile nor overbearing. Lord father, you don't need to thank your daughter too much. Your daughter, as the young matriarch of Three Springs sect, naturally has the right to rectify Three Springs sect's conduct. Yi Tianquang was so angry that he trembled. Oh, that's right, Three Springs sect has a matriarch like father. No wonder Three Springs sect's development is declining more and more. Yiqing Luo raised her eyebrows. Her cold and arrogant gaze swept over the three people from the Yuchi family, the corners of her mouth hooked into a bloodthirsty cold arc. Chapter 48. Xiao Yu, teach this servant who doesn't understand etiquette a lesson. Yiqing Luo looked at Steward Yuchi provocatively, her lips curled into a sneer. Steward Yuchi's face immediately turned ashen. Even the two guards behind him looked as if they had eaten a fly. Damn it. Yiqing Luo was obviously slapping their faces with a smack smack smack. Yi Fengyu was stunned when his name was called. The two guards were mystic profound grade cultivators. This Steward Yuchi couldn't see his profound grade at all. Teach him a lesson? Wasn't this looking for T? What? Want me to do it myself? Yiqing Luo narrowed her eyes and smiled sweetly. This smile made Yi Fengyu tremble as he swallowed his saliva. Just as he was about to open his mouth to curry favor, he saw Yiqing Luo's gaze and immediately smiled. I'll do it. How can I trouble my sister for such a small matter? He straightened his back, clenched his long knife, and put on an aggressive look as he faced Steward Yuchi. Sorry for offending you. Yi Fengyu jumped up, his mouth exploded with a roar and the long knife in his hand chopped out. A wisp of chi lingered on the long saber, forming a saber light. You dare to court death? Steward Yuchi's expression turned cold. A burst of energy exploded from his body. His luxurious robe danced, making a flapping sound. The palm wind directly chopped towards Yi Fengyu. Unexpectedly, Yi Fengyu's long knife changed direction, and actually chopped towards Yi Changwei. Xiao Yu, be careful. Yiqing Luo pretended to panic and cried out. Yi Fengyu heard the shout and somersaulted to the side, avoiding the palm wind. But he still suffered a slight scratch, half kneeling on the ground, spitting out a mouthful of blood. Xiao Yu. Yiqing Luo rushed forward, one hand supporting Yi Fengyu, eyes full of worry. When she saw the smear of blood on the corner of Yi Fengyu's mouth, Yiqing Luo pointed at Steward Yuchi in anger. Your Yuchi family is simply bullying intolerably. Not only did you block this young matriarch outside, you actually dare to come directly to my door. This young matriarch wants to see how lawless your Yuchi family is. Steward Yuchi was already regretting his decision as soon as he struck out with his palm. He had not expected Yi Fengyu and Yiqing Luo to join hands and put on such a good show. Intentionally making him think that Yiqing Luo was humiliating him, forcing him to make the first move. In reality, the person Yi Fengyu wanted to attack from the start was Yi Changwei. As the head steward of the Yuchi family, if he were to make a move against the Yi family's son in the Three Springs sect manner, he would definitely be punished. No matter how he explained it, it would be his fault. This lowly girl was actually so shrewd. Yi Qingluo directly ignored Steward Yuchi's vicious gaze. She single-handedly supported Yi Fengyu, her gaze directly pressing down on Yi Tianquang. Lord Father, right now your son in front of you has been humiliated by a mere Yuchi family steward. Can you swallow this insult? He couldn't swallow it. Of course he couldn't swallow it. Yi Tianquang's complexion was like a vegetable. He, the dignified sect leader of the Three Springs sect, had to lower his voice to a steward from a profound practitioner clan. After being stirred up by Yi Qingling, he felt that his face had been swept to the ground. That hot-bloodedness in his heart was stimulated by Yi Qingluo. No matter how much he disliked Yi Qingluo in his heart, no matter how much he loathed her. But in the eyes of outsiders, Yi Qingluo was still the young matriarch of the Three Springs sect. It was alright to be bullied by one's own family, but to be bullied by others, wouldn't it let outsiders ridicule Three Springs sect for having no one? Chapter 49. Steward Yuchi's expression also darkened. For a moment he did not dare to act rashly. He had accurately calculated Yi Tianquang's temperament, only then did he dare to strut around in front of Yi Tianquang. After all, the Three Springs sect status was there for all to see. If it weren't for Yi Tianquang's cowardice, always wanting to curry favor with all the forces, he wouldn't have had the guts to step into the Three Springs sect. Yi Tianquang's sudden display of power made Steward Yuchi's heart beat like a drum. This young master won't mention the affair between Yuchiya and fourth sister for now. At this moment Yi Qingluo opened her mouth leisurely, but because this young matriarch knows their secret, he repeatedly made a move against this young matriarch, and even dared to lay a vicious hand on the Mu family's two young masters. He deserves to be seriously injured and bedridden. Steward Yuchi was secretly shocked when he heard this. He was well aware of his young master's romantic routine, but, flirting with the fourth miss of the Three Springs sect, should he praise his young master for his infinite charm, or should he wipe his cold sweat for his young master? On the other hand, Yi Tianquang's complexion was overcast, as if the frost of October had covered his entire face. What did he mean by Yuchiya and fourth sister were having illicit relations? His Yi Tianquang's daughter was actually humiliated by that Yuchi family scum? The Yuchi family didn't even put the Three Springs sect in their eyes. This thought flashed through Yi Tianquang's mind. He thought that the Yuchi family had also offended the Mu family. Yi Tianquang's entire person was also filled with confidence. Like an angry lion, cold air wantonly emanated from his entire body. Steward Yuchi, you dare to humiliate my Three Springs sect. This sect master will absolutely not let this matter rest. Sect Master Yi, this is a misunderstanding. Steward Yuchi's anger abruptly subsided, and his tone softened. The Yuchi family has absolutely no intention of insulting the Three Springs sect. No. Yi Tianquang sneered and slightly narrowed his eyes. This sect master's eyes aren't blind. Get the hell out of Three Springs Manor right now. I will personally pay a visit to the Yuchi family and ask them how they will account for what happened today. Steward Yuchi's expression was thoroughly dark. A sharp glint flashed across his eyes. Since he had already shed all pretense of cordiality, he could not be bothered to give him any face. His long arms suddenly stretched out and his 5 fingers turned into a yin claw, pressing towards Yi Qingluo. Steward Yuchi's figure had just moved when Yi Qingluo acutely sensed a murderous aura. In the next second his body reflexively avoided the danger. Steward Yuchi missed once. He immediately turned around and pressed forward with his palm. His eyes were cold and filled with murderous intent. Yi Tianquang was thoroughly enraged. In front of him she had repeatedly attacked him. What a Yuchi family! Yi Tianquang's eyes were bloodshot. He suddenly clenched his fists and a wisp of qi lingered on his fists. Just as he was about to make a move, someone placed a hand on his shoulder. Yi Tianquang was so startled that he almost turned his hand to strike behind him. In the instant that the corner of the black robe floated into his eyes, Yi Tianquang's palm was forcibly intercepted in midair. The Yi clan is very lively today. What a coincidence that I've come. A clear voice descended from the sky. This voice was very calm and indifferent. But it easily made Yi Tianquang and the 3 Yuchi family members stop their movements. Your Highness. They knelt down to pay their respects. Only Yi Qingluo stood alone, especially conspicuous. Yi Fengyu tugged at the corner of her robe, reminding her to abide by the rules. But he saw Yiqing Luo's eyes were cold, and the corner of her mouth held a sneer of ridicule. And Leng Fenghua held a gentle and refined smile. Facing Yiqing Luo's indifference and rudeness, he didn't say a word of blame. Get up. Today His Highness is here to see his fiancée. No need to be so courteous. Leng Fenghua smiled and waved his hand. Chapter 50. Fiancé? Steward Yuqi's body stiffened and his face turned ashen. Since when did the crown prince acknowledge Yiqing Luo this waste as his future crown princess? Wasn't the most shameful thing for the crown prince to have Yiqing Luo, that useless, weak and incompetent fiancé? Now, the crown prince's motive was obviously to support Yiqing Luo. Once the crown prince intervened, Steward Yuqi didn't even dare to think about it. He knelt on the ground like a stray dog, not daring to get up. What are you doing here? Yiqing Luo frowned slightly as she looked at Leng Fenghua in annoyance. Naturally, I'm here to see you. Leng Fenghua slowly approached Yiqing Luo. His brows were filled with a warm smile. As soon as he got close to her, he smelled the delicate fragrance on her body. His heart was like a monkey running amok as he couldn't help but stretched out his hand to hold Yiqing Luo's tender hand. Scram. A cold word was spat out from Yiqing Luo's pink lips. She sneered and unceremoniously slapped his hand away. Leng Fenghua, don't forget, this young mistress has already divorced you. As soon as he said this, the surroundings fell into silence. Yi Tianquang was so angry that he really wanted to slap Yiqing Luo to death. Previously, when Yiqing Luo said that she wanted to divorce the crown prince didn't pursue the matter. That was because the crown prince was coaxing her. The dignified crown prince was coaxing a girl? Yiqing Luo should be deeply grateful, all right. She actually wanted to divorce the crown prince? Yi Tianquang's malicious and ruthless eyes fiercely looked at Yiqing Luo. Vile spawn, you, this prince likes Miss Seven's temperament. Leng Fenghua waved his hand with an expression that said, you can do whatever you want, I'll take it. Yiqing Luo shuddered as goosebumps formed all over her body. Like her personality? Could you please not disgust me? Damn it. I'm about to throw up my dinner from last night. Yiqing Luo rubbed her arms as she shifted her feet to the side with a look of disgust. Yi Fengyu stood up immediately and stood in front of Yiqing Luo. The youth's slender figure happened to block Leng Fenghua's line of sight. Leng Fenghua's smile froze. He had painstakingly coaxed a woman, only to be despised by her. His face had been thrown 108,000 miles away. Your Highness the Crown Prince, she's just too shy. Yi Tianquang racked his brains to think of an excuse, his face still piled with a flattering smile. This excuse almost made Yiqing Luo choke on her saliva. Shy. Holy shit. Which eye of yours saw that I'm shy? Even if I'm shy, I won't be shy in front of Leng Fenghua. Yiqing Luo felt that if she were to continue staying here, she would definitely vomit out yesterday's dinner. She narrowed her charming eyes slightly and her slightly cold gaze swept across the few people kneeling on the ground. Soon after, he slightly raised his gaze and stared at Yi Tianquang. The matter of the Three Springs sect and the Yuqi family will be handled by Father Xiaoyu. Let's go. After saying that, he walked towards the gate of the abandoned courtyard without looking back. Yi Fengyu followed closely behind. He completely ignored Leng Fenghua. It was the first time that Leng Fenghua had lost face in front of a woman. He had always been proud and believed that as long as he wanted to, he could have any woman in the world. But he didn't expect that Yiqing Luo would be rude to him again and again. A woman with thorns all over her body. When he first saw her, there was indeed a sense of novelty and he wanted to conquer this woman. But after a long time it hurt. A proud man couldn't wait to let go of this thorny rose. Thinking of a few days ago in front of the common people, Yiqing Luo made him suffer. Thinking of being ignored by Yiqing Luo now. Chapter 51. 7th Miss. Leng Fenghua suppressed his anger as his voice came from behind her. The matter of breaking off the engagement is due to my lack of consideration. I sincerely apologize to you and will try my best to satisfy all your requests. Are these not enough to appease your anger? Yiqing Luo stopped in her tracks, turned her head and curled her lips disapprovingly. Anger? I'm not angry at you. Then. Leng Fenghua's face lit up. But his smile had yet to spread to his eyes when it froze at the corner of his mouth. He only heard Yiqing Luo's cold and sweet smile. Towards you, I have no feelings at all. Why should I waste my feelings on an insignificant person? No feelings at all? Who was the one who kept on pestering him, calling out, Brother Hua, so happily? Lung Fenghua's arrogant heart seemed to have been stabbed by a knife. Yiqing Luo was still smiling sweetly, her charming eyes seemed to be mocking him. What's more, who stipulated that I must forgive you if you apologize? Lung Fenghua's eyes were filled with coldness as he strode over and stretched out his hand to grab Yiqing Luo's shoulder. Yiqing Luo habitually dodged sideways. Just as she was about to counterattack, she saw Lung Fenghua's face suddenly turn green and red. It was as if he had eaten sh*t. His eyes widened and his mouth kept trembling, looking like he was about to vomit. Following that, everyone except Lung Fenghua knelt on the ground. They were shouting something like "Overlord? Overlord?" An evildoer's face appeared in Yiqing Luo's mind. She looked around sharply and didn't discover Dmo Xian's presence. Then, why did these people inexplicably shout "Overlord"? Just as she was thinking, Lung Fenghua suddenly grabbed her wrist and raised it up with an expression of eating shit on his face. His eyes were filled with ruthlessness and unwillingness as he pointed at Yiqing Luo's sleeve and asked with gritted teeth, "Why? Why do you have this?" Yiqing Luo then discovered that her sleeve revealed a piece of purple cloth. That cloth happened to be exposed at one end, embroidered with an incomparably clear "Overlord" word. "Overlord? Dmo Xian?" Yiqing Luo shook off Lung Fenghua's hand and pulled out that piece of cloth. *CK. Wasn't this the day she met Dmo Xian for the first time? The last palm strike she had sent towards Dmo Xian didn't hit him, but hit off that piece of cloth on his sleeve? As expected of the legend of the Nirvana realm, even a small piece of clothing could intimidate people. It was simply too cool. What exactly is your relationship with the Overlord? Lung Fenghua's eyes were bloodshot as he stared at the piece of cloth. A woman was hiding a small piece of a man's clothes. What else could that mean? Especially, if it wasn't for the Overlord's willingness, how could Yiqing Luo possibly have his clothes? Lung Fenghua felt as if he had been cuckolded. No wonder Yiqing Luo had been so arrogant recently, with such a detestable attitude towards him. It turned out that he had already hooked up with his next target. His gaze towards Yiqing Luo became even more vicious. Yiqing Luo found it funny. Lung Fenghua looked as if he had been cuckolded. What was going on? He had never treated her as his fiancée, so why was he acting like this now? Yiqing Luo sneered as she stuffed the cloth into her sleeves, pulled up Yi Fengyu who was kneeling on the ground, and strode into the abandoned courtyard. With a bam, the abandoned courtyard's main door closed. The wind blew, rolling up the fallen leaves on the ground, sprinkling onto the back of Lung Fenghua's feet. The scene was silent. Chapter 52. It was undeniable that the deafening sound of the door slamming made Yi Fengyu feel very refreshed. But after feeling refreshed, he felt a lingering fear. The person outside was the current crown prince Ah. Slamming the door and leaving, although domineering, this was a great disrespect to the crown prince. Just as Yi Fengyu scratched the back of his head with a face full of apprehension, a hand suddenly stretched out in front of him. "This is a peerless immortal pill, take it and eat it." Peerless immortal pill? Yi Fengyu's pupils suddenly widened, a burst of ecstasy spread from the bottom of his heart. What disrespect to the crown prince, to hell with it all. His excited hands trembled as he grasped Yiqing Luo's hand and pushed her slender fingers away one by one. When the last finger was pushed away, an earth-colored pill appeared in the palm of her plain white palm. At first glance, this pill couldn't be any more ordinary. But upon a closer look, one would discover that the pill was shrouded in a faint medicinal mist, emitting a medicinal fragrance. Just taking a whiff of the medicinal scent, he felt his entire body's exhaustion was swept away. Yi Fengyu's excited lips trembled, unable to spit out half a word for a long time. His hands cupped the peerless immortal pill, his face full of ecstasy. "Although it is a low-grade pill, I reduced the amount of medicinal ingredients and added a few more. After the transformation, compared to ordinary peerless immortal pills, the medicinal effect should be a bit stronger." Peerless immortal pill, a low-grade pill, could greatly enhance a profound practitioner's profound jade heart absorption, thus reaching the barrier of profound jade heart advancement. Of course, it also didn't mean that every profound practitioner who took the peerless immortal pill would advance. It all depended on individual factors. "I still have 6 pills on me. If you successfully advance your profound jade heart, I will unconditionally give the remaining 6 to you." Yiqing Luo tossed out another temptation when she saw her brother's smug look as if he was on cloud 9. Immediately Yi Fengyu was overjoyed, his eyes sparkling. "This is what you said. I will go back to the courtyard to practice now." One cauldron could at most refine 10 pills at a time. Yi Qing Luo was able to refine 7 peerless immortal pills. It was already unprecedented. Yi Fengyu suddenly felt that there was meat to eat as long as he followed his sister. Therefore Yi Fengyu respectfully held the immortal pill in his hands and happily left the abandoned courtyard. By the time Yi Fengyu's aura had completely disappeared from the range of her senses, the smile on Yi Qing Luo's pale face disappeared from her lips. A trace of blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. She supported herself with one hand on the wooden table and the other on her chest. His body swayed slightly and his legs gave out and he fell onto the chair. "Girl, are you all right?" Old Man Song's concerned voice came from her mind. Not long ago when Yi Qing Luo was refining pills, she was disturbed. Originally, she had wanted to calm her heart and wait until she finished refining the medicine before leaving the Azure Dew bracelet. But the other party had come knocking on his door. Yi Qing Luo's state of mind was not at ease and her control of the fire was slightly off by a little. Because of this, there were only 7 pills refined in the end. As for Yi Qing Luo, she had also suffered from the punishment of her consciousness refining pill. Her consciousness was damaged and she was injured. When facing Steward Yuqi and His Highness the Crown Prince, she forced herself to pretend that nothing was wrong. "I'm fine." Yi Qing Luo held her chest and closed her eyes. "I'll be fine after resting for a while." Chapter 53. The profound jade heart that Dmo Xian had formed in Yi Qing Ling's body was definitely not an ordinary profound jade heart. Yi Qing Luo could clearly feel the lingering qi waves in her heart. However, her meridians were sealed, and she was unable to freely circulate her profound jade heart. Old Man Song's voice paused, and he suddenly took a deep breath, as if he had made up his mind about something. He said, "Little girl, this old man has a cauldron here. If you can tame this cauldron, then the marrow cleansing pill and whatnot will not be a problem." Yi Qing Luo's thoughts stirred and her consciousness entered the Azure Dew bracelet. Her divine sense was damaged. This move caused her body to feel a tightness in her chest, and a few traces of blood flowed out. Yi Qing Luo didn't have the mood to care as she rushed straight to the front of Old Man Song. "Smelly old man. If you have something good, why didn't you take it out earlier? You hid it for so long." "It's not that I'm trying to hide it, it's just that." Old Man Song wanted to say something but hesitated. Yi Qing Luo panicked, "Don't just, but, whatever cauldron, just take it out." Old Man Song sighed and his illusory body swayed. A huge cauldron suddenly appeared in front of Yi Qing Luo's eyes. The furnace was made of bronze, and the patterns on the body of the furnace were strange. It was impossible to tell what the patterns were. However, when she took a closer look, she vaguely felt that there was a pair of eyes glaring at her from the lines. The golden light flickered, making it hard for people to look away. That cauldron was even taller and bigger than Yi Qing Luo. Instantly, the wide Azure Dew bracelet seemed a bit narrower. This is... Yi Qing Luo had never come into contact with alchemy before, so she couldn't recognize this furnace in front of her. However, he knew that this cauldron was no ordinary item. At the very least, he was at the Supreme Being level or above. Sure enough, they heard Old Man Song proudly say, "This is a legendary cauldron called the Dragon God Cauldron. It's a vessel used by ancient gods to refine pills, and it's a cauldron that all alchemists yearn for even in their dreams." Dragon God Cauldron? Legendary level. Yi Qing Luo was dumbfounded. Her pair of charming eyes suddenly widened. She subconsciously wanted to touch the Dragon God furnace. His wrist was grabbed by Old Man Song. "Don't go over." Yi Qing Luo's other hand had already touched it. Suddenly, a burst of golden light flickered in front of her. Yi Qing Luo had no time to see clearly what happened and only felt a pain in her finger. Then she was pushed out by the golden light. Fortunately, Old Man Song supported her from behind. Old Man Song immediately raised her hand and saw that there was a bright red mark on her finger. Fresh blood was gushing out. "Ouch!" Yi Qing Luo sucked in a breath of cold air. Old Man Song's expression became grave. "What's going on? It actually sucked your blood?" Yi Qing Luo was stunned. "What's sucking my blood?" The Dragon God furnace is a legendary furnace. Like the Azure Dew bracelet, it has a guardian spirit. The guardian of the divine dragon cauldron is the totem outside the cauldron, the golden dragon. Old Man Song bandaged Yi Qing Luo's finger as he explained, "The golden dragon's temper is the worst. Even if it's me, when I was still alive, I wasn't able to tame the divine dragon cauldron." He paused for a moment, a puzzled look in his eyes. "I've never heard of it taking the initiative to drink human blood. Golden dragon?" Yi Qing Luo vaguely recalled that when she touched the Dragon God furnace earlier, She seemed to have seen that golden light form a golden head. That sharp golden tooth cut a line from her finger. Chapter 54. Girl, you're really lucky. This old man is envious of your luck. Old Man Song pushed Yiqing Luo towards the dragon god cauldron. All right, you can go over now. Yiqing Luo was dumbfounded. He wasn't allowed to go over just a moment ago, so why was he allowed to go over now? He thought that the divine dragon cauldron would resist him again. But her body directly collided with the divine dragon furnace. The ice-cold sensation instantly eroded her entire body. Yiqing Luo shivered and was just about to leave when she heard a strange voice resounding in her ear. New master, I am the guardian of the dragon god cauldron, called Cauldron Dragon. The guardian of the divine dragon furnace? New master? Holy shit, what the hell? Little girl, the dragon god cauldron has absorbed your blood, so it has established a blood contract with you. It will follow you for the rest of your life, only for you to use. Old Man Song saw Yiqing Luo's horrified expression and explained aloud. Not only was Yiqing Luo shocked, his heart was also overwhelmed with shock. When he was still alive, he obtained the divine dragon cauldron. But even after his death, even after he became the protector of the Azure Dew bracelet, he still had no way of taming the divine dragon furnace. He had not expected the dragon god cauldron to take the initiative to sign a blood pact with Yiqing Luo. It seemed that this little girl's identity was extraordinary. At this moment, Yiqing Luo was communicating with the cauldron dragon. She learned from the cauldron dragon that the divine dragon furnace was an alchemy furnace contracted by an ancient divine sovereign. After the divine emperor passed away, the divine dragon furnace fell into the nirvana realm. Then Old Man Song unexpectedly obtained it. Then she appeared. Why me? Yiqing Luo was puzzled. This was the first time she had seen the dragon god's cauldron. She had also heard Old Man Song mention that from when he was alive until he became a guardian, he had never been able to tame the dragon god's cauldron. She didn't understand why the cauldron dragon would choose to form a blood contract with her. The cauldron dragon's voice was loud and clear, possessing the dignity of the dragon race. Because of your scent. Taste? Yiqing Luo raised her hand and sniffed her body. He showered every day and there wasn't any special smell. You humans can't smell this smell, said the cauldron dragon. Yiqing Luo's hand covered the pattern of the dragon god cauldron. The dragon god cauldron suddenly trembled and randomly transformed into a palm-sized cauldron, falling into Yiqing Luo's palm. The cauldron dragon's voice came again. I can be as big or as small as you wish. I will definitely teach you everything I know about refining medicine. In other words, it would not interfere in anything other than alchemy. He held the divine dragon furnace in his hand. He also had Old Man Song, a Grandmaster Alchemy Senior, and Cauldron Dragon's teachings. Yiqing Luo suddenly felt that she was going to soar into the sky in the alchemist's circle. I want to refine the marrow cleansing pill. Yiqing Luo's eyes were filled with joy. Ever since she started concocting pills, she had always wanted to concoct better pills. He wanted to unlock the seal on his meridians, wanted to stabilize his brother's profound rank, wanted to cure Ziling's leg. Now that she had the divine dragon cauldron, everything she wanted could come true. The cauldron dragon was silent for a moment, as if it was investigating the situation within Yiqing Luo's body. Soon after, a dignified voice rang out leisurely, All right, I only need 2 days. 2 days. No wonder it was a cauldron that the divine sovereign had once used. His words were so unyielding. Yiqing Luo was extremely excited. Cauldron dragon, let's start refining the pill now. Before that, you must guarantee that no one will disturb you while you refine the pill. The cauldron dragon said solemnly. Chapter 55. Yiqing Luo understood. Under Cauldron Dragon's request, she first took a pill to treat the damage to her consciousness. Then she left the Azure Dew bracelet and called Ziling over. She told her to stand guard at the door and that no one was allowed to come in and disturb her. Just as she was about to return to her room, she thought of something and added, If little Yu comes, let him guard the door with you. In the following days, Yiqing Luo lay on the bed and her consciousness entered the Azure Dew bracelet to refine pills. For an alchemist, apart from having good pill refining skills and character, they also had to have the best refining tools. A top-grade cauldron and a powerful profound jade heart condensed core flame, in addition to precious medicinal ingredients. This was an essential piece of equipment if one wanted to successfully refine a pill. Yiqing Luo fulfilled all of these conditions. It was just that her current body was somewhat powerless to control the legendary grade cauldron. At first, refining pills could be considered easy. She followed the 100 medicines pill-forming recipe and threw the medicinal ingredients into the cauldron according to Cauldron Dragon's instructions. She controlled the heat. But after a long time her profound jade heart clearly couldn't support it. Usually the longest time to refine pills wasn't more than 8 hours. This time, it took 24 hours to complete the refinement. The originally extremely pure core flame gradually became slightly turbid. Her breathing also became more and more chaotic. "Girl, you hold on." Old Man Sung realized the situation wasn't right and suddenly slapped his head. "I forgot to remind Cauldron Dragon, your profound jade heart isn't your own." Dmo Xian's profound jade heart could be freely operated by Yiqing Luo. But after a long time, it could easily cause the profound jade heart to become tired and resist Yiqing Luo. Seeing the cold sweat on Yiqing Luo's forehead dripping down drop by drop, it was obvious she couldn't hold on any longer. Old Man Song's spirit body flashed and quickly landed behind Yiqing Luo. Both palms came together and a white light burst forth from Old Man Song's palms. Immediately, a warm current assaulted Yiqing Luo's profound jade heart. It lingered around the profound jade heart's surroundings and rotated several times. It easily suppressed the pain Yiqing Luo had been forcibly holding on to. That warm current revolved unceasingly within her body. After one revolution, her profound qi gradually stabilized. Boom! With a loud bang, the divine dragon cauldron shook. The golden light instantly lit up the entire void. As soon as the lid of the cauldron was lifted, a few golden pills automatically popped out. Yiqing Luo flipped her palm and those few medicinal pills automatically fell into her palm. There were 3 in total. Elder Tsang. Elder Tsang. I refined it successfully. I've succeeded. Yiqing Luo's brows were filled with ecstasy. She held the 3 golden pills and quickly walked towards Old Man Song. Then he saw Old Man Song lying on the ground. His white robes, white hair, and beard seemed to have merged with the space around him. The smile on Yiqing Luo's face instantly froze. "Old Man Song, what's wrong with you?" Yiqing Luo's expression congealed as she half knelt on the ground and stretched out her hand to help Old Man Song up. "Master, don't touch him for now." The Cauldron Dragon's voice interrupted her actions. Yiqing Luo's arms stiffened, her eyes filled with worry. "Is it because Old Man Song just passed me profound qi causing—" "Girl, don't worry." Old Man Song's voice was very light. His white beard moved along with his lips. "I'm fine. I'll be fine after recuperating in the Azure Dew bracelet for a period of time." Yiqing Luo's pink lips pursed into a straight line. Chapter 56. He is the guardian of the Azure Dew bracelet. As long as his spiritual body is still within the bracelet, nothing will happen to him, said the Cauldron Dragon. Yiqing Luo bit her lips, and Old Man Song will be fine. The Cauldron Dragon was the guardian of the divine artifact. It wouldn't deceive her. In any case, she was the master of the Cauldron Dragon. "Little girl, since the marrow cleansing pill has been successfully refined, there's no time to lose. Eat the marrow cleansing pill and unseal your meridians." Old Man Song's voice grew softer and softer. "I have to go into seclusion for a period of time. The Cauldron Dragon will guide you." Yiqing Luo nodded her head repeatedly. "I will, when you come out of closed-door cultivation, I will not let you down." The corner of Old Man Song's lips twitched weakly. Soon after, white mist curled up and completely enveloped Old Man Song's body. After the fog dispersed, where was Old Man Song's figure? "Don't think too much. Let's begin." Cauldron Dragon didn't give Yiqing Luo time to think about other things. Yiqing Luo concealed the uneasiness in her heart. Indeed, it was useless no matter how much she thought about it. The only thing she could do now was to unlock the seal on her meridians and cultivate her profound qi to make herself stronger. According to Cauldron Dragon's method, Yiqing Luo sat cross-legged on a stone block. Immediately his little but felt a chill. 1,000-year frost ice? Yiqing Luo stretched out her hand in astonishment and stroked the stone block. Immediately, a cold aura that was comparable to a heart-piercing chill spread from her palm to her arm. The 1,000-year frost was a good item. It was a treasure that countless profound practitioners desired. It was said that as long as a profound practitioner cultivated on the 1,000-year frost, they would be able to achieve twice the results with half the effort. This was because the Millennium Frost was refined from the spiritual qi of heaven and earth. Now that it was placed within the Azure Dew bracelet, the spiritual energy on the stone block was even denser and purer. He hadn't expected that Old Man Song would hoard quite a few good things and hide them in the Azure Dew bracelet. Yiqing Luo sat upright and swallowed a marrow cleansing pill. The marrow-cleansing pill melted in his mouth, and his mouth was instantly filled with a refreshing medicinal fragrance. The medicinal fragrance flowed down his throat and into his body, flowing into his meridians. The process was extremely painful. Yiqing Luo couldn't hold it in for a few times as she let out a painful moan. In his tendons and veins, waves of medicinal fragrance kept colliding and pressing against each other. His entire body felt as if it had been torn apart and then reassembled. Ah! A sharp painful moan came out from Yiqing Luo's mouth. There was a metallic taste in his throat. As soon as he heard the sound of cooking, he spat out a mouthful of blood. The blood was black, so black that it was purple. Then a cold current spread from his buttocks to his limbs and bones. The painful squeezing sensation was no longer there. At this moment, Yiqing Luo only felt carefree and incomparably refreshed. A majestic and terrifying profound qi erupted from Yiqing Luo's body. That profound energy emitted a dazzling light, making the red-clothed woman on the stone block look even more enchanting than the sun and moon. The purification was a success. The blocked tendons and meridians were unblocked. A steady stream of profound energy spread through his limbs and bones. Master, taking advantage of this momentum, you can begin challenging the first level of the Azure Dew Bracelet's mental cultivation method. Nanny? He was already challenging the first level of the mental cultivation method? Not waiting for Yiqing Luo to regain her senses, that huge cauldron shook violently. Her footsteps were unsteady and her body bumped into something. In the next second, that thing that she had bumped into was like a suction cup, firmly sucking her in. Yiqing Luo's eyes immediately went black. In a short moment, Yiqing Luo opened her eyes again and discovered that she was actually standing on a battle stage. Chapter 57. This is the first level's competition arena. Cauldron Dragon's faint voice seemed to come from the horizon. Master, raise your head. Yiqing Luo followed the voice and raised her eyes. Above her head was a vast expanse of white mist that she couldn't see the bottom. On the extreme right side of the arena, a fiery red candle lamp floated in midair. When this lamp goes out, no matter what happens on the arena, I will summon you back. Cauldron Dragon continued, if you successfully pass the first level before the lamp goes out, you can obtain the first level's secret arts. In other words, before this lamp goes out, Cauldron Dragon absolutely wouldn't interfere with her? The Azure Dew Bracelet has 12 levels of purgatory. The first level is the simplest. With your current ability, you should be able to deal with it. Do you see that huge one on the arena stage? Pour profound qi into the one, and the Azure Dew Bracelet will randomly create a void space according to your strength. Yiqing Luo followed Cauldron Dragon's words and half knelt on the ground, pouring profound qi into the one under her feet. When her profound qi was released, the profound qi that had just been gathered after purification actually crazily rushed towards her profound jade heart. As if it had found an outlet, it drilled into her profound jade heart as if it didn't cost anything. Yiqing Luo clutched her heart, one hand on the ground, and let out a muffled groan. This crazy oppressive feeling squeezed her profound jade heart until it swelled painfully. At the same time, the entire arena shook violently. In a split second, a group of fiendish wild beasts appeared in front of Yiqing Luo. There were at least 100 of them in a group. The 100 beasts cried in unison, deafening the ears. The entire arena seemed as if it was about to collapse. These wild beasts were refined according to your current strength. You only need to defeat these beasts in front of you and you can smoothly pass the first level of purgatory. After Cauldron Dragon finished speaking, there was no longer any sound. It seemed as if it simply didn't see Yiqing Luo's expression of endless pain. It simply couldn't be more painful. Her chest swelled to the point it was about to explode. And the 100 wild beasts in front of her, after their protective barrier was broken, surged towards Yiqing Luo. Among those wild beasts, the smallest was 2 meters tall. They opened their bloody mouths, revealing their sharp teeth. He opened his mouth and tried to swallow Yiqing Luo into his stomach. Yiqing Luo's 5 fingers clasped tightly around her heart as she leapt up. Using the height of a wild beast, she somersaulted in the air. Soon after, he landed steadily in the empty space of the arena. A few ferocious wild beasts missed their target and crashed into each other. Phew! Yiqing Luo panted heavily as her slender brows creased tightly. All of a sudden, the profound heart jade seemed to have been set ablaze by a ball of flame. Yiqing Luo could clearly feel the scorching heat in her chest. Following this, her body began to emit a layer of dazzling light. The light spread like fire. Yiqing Luo felt that this ray of light had turned into strands of qi, seeping into her body from her skin. Bit by bit, it lingered on the profound heart jade. The swollen and painful feeling gradually disappeared. Surrounding the profound heart jade surroundings was a stretch of pure profound energy. When he clenched his fist, he could feel boundless power accumulating in him. The roars of wild beasts rang in his ears, and the wild beasts in front of him pounced ferociously. Yiqing Luo's charming eyes gleamed with a bloodthirsty and enchanting red glow. The first floor. Chapter 58. The fiery red candlelight floating in the air flickered. On the arena, a pile of wild beast corpses piled up into a small hill. One by one, at an extremely fast speed, piled up high. In the middle of the arena, in the midst of the blood mist, a red figure was faintly discernible. Under her feet, there was an extremely strong chi wave, the strong wind fluttering her dress, like a blooming rose. A head of simple hair, long disheveled, hung down to her shoulders. That devastatingly beautiful face was covered with a layer of frost. There was no emotion on her face. Between her charming eyes, there was an excited cold glint. What swept her pink lips was a bloodthirsty and treacherous smile. She was killing incomparably carefree. The wind from her palm landed again, the wild beast flesh and blood splattered. Fresh blood splashed on her face. Her smile was more and more devastatingly beautiful. That smile made people appalled. Yiqing Luo could clearly feel that the profound heart jade in her heart was transmitting her endless profound chi, making her fight tirelessly, unceasingly. Every time a wild beast fell, the blood in her body boiled for a while. In the arena, there were finally 3 wild beasts that weren't too big in size, but their power was extremely strong. These 3 wild beasts had some human nature, actually knew how to help each other. And the candlelight above her head, the candle flame was already getting weaker. At this time Yiqing Luo couldn't be impatient. She understood this logic. Trapped by the 3 wild beasts, Yiqing Luo used her footwork to move back and forth. The profound chi in the profound heart jade was also constantly hoarding, absorbing. The wild beasts' vision followed, but in a moment they were dizzy. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Yiqing Luo targeted one, hit it. The triangular standing wild beast, one died. The triangular defense disintegrated. Dealing with it was even easier and more comfortable. By the time Yiqing Luo finished off the last wild beast, the candle which was floating in midair had also extinguished. Almost at the same time. Ha! Alas, I knew as long as it's you, you can definitely do it. Old Man Song's voice came from her mind. His voice was unable to conceal the joy in it. Yiqing Luo's bloodthirsty cold eyes suddenly became clear. Old Man Song? Are you alright? This old man hasn't even seen you ascend to the peak of powerhouses. How can you die? Old Man Song's voice regained its usual vigor. After inquiring, Yiqing Luo found out that she had spent 3 days and 2 nights in the first story. Old Man Song had been cultivating in seclusion for the past few days. Although he couldn't appear in his previous spiritual form, he could at least communicate with her. When Old Man Song returned to her side, Yiqing Luo immediately felt a sense of familiarity. The smile on her face added some of the warmth that a young girl should have. Girl, you're really lucky. Old Man Song quipped. Even the timing is so precise. At the same time when the lights go out, the last beast will be eliminated. Yiqing Luo's lips curled upwards as she gave a light smile. Girl, congratulations on successfully passing the first level of the purgatory. Old Man Song's laughter was filled with gratification. I'll leave the first level of the deep water art to you. On the stage, the huge, one character shone brightly. A scroll floated in the air. Yiqing Luo stretched out her hand and the scroll automatically fell into her palm. The light dissipated. When the scroll entered her hand, there was a cool touch. Yiqing Luo lowered her eyes to look at the top of the scroll. The ink writing was like dancing dragons and dancing phoenixes. Teleportation. Teleportation? Damn. It was actually teleportation. Chapter 59. When Yiqing Luo was still in the 21st century, she had heard the name teleportation from those old men's mouths. They had mentioned it more than once. But what made Yiqing Luo remember this name incomparably deeply was, those old men had tricked her into going to the Yi family's ancient tomb to retrieve the Yi family's heirloom. They had deliberately mentioned teleportation. Teleportation, as the name implied, was able to move in an instant. Compared to her strange footwork and identity, it was even more astonishing. If one could cultivate teleportation to the highest level, in a place as big as a town, he could easily teleport to any place he wanted. Unexpectedly, Yiqing Luo had really obtained the secret manual of teleportation in the first layer of purgatory. It was rare for those old men to speak the truth. The reward for successfully passing the first layer of purgatory is randomly generated by the Azure Dew Bracelet's first layer of purgatory according to the statistics of when you defeated the 100 beasts. Old Man Song explained. When Yiqing Luo fought against the first layer of purgatory, she used her modern footwork. Because of this, purgatory filtered out the most suitable reward for Yiqing Luo. Regarding this reward, Yiqing Luo expressed that she was very satisfied. Satisfied to the point that she couldn't be more satisfied. Don't be complacent too early. Old Man Song saw Yiqing Luo's shining eyes and sighed helplessly. You must restore the profound jade heart that was dug out as soon as possible. Mentioning the profound jade heart, Yiqing Luo's hand subconsciously covered her chest. Right? She had almost forgotten that the profound jade heart in her chest wasn't her own profound jade heart. A profound jade heart that didn't belong to her, if used improperly, could easily cause a backlash from the jade heart. Just like when she fought against the wild beasts and released profound chi to open the first layer of purgatory, she almost suffered a backlash from the profound jade heart. This profound jade heart of yours can't hold on for too long. Old Man Song continued, or you can find the person who formed the profound jade heart for you and let him restore the current profound jade heart for you. Find Diamo Xian? Yiqing Luo inexplicably thought of the 1-month appointment that he had made with her. He said he would give her 1 month's time to prove her strength. At that moment she understood everything. 1 month's time was almost up. And the time that Diamo Xian gave her to condense this profound jade heart was estimated to be a month. If Diamo Xian forgot about her existence and forgot about this 1-month appointment, it was very likely that the profound jade heart in her chest would swallow her. Or perhaps all her hard work for the past month had been in vain. Damn it. What he hated the most was the feeling of having his fate in someone else's hands. Without Diamo Xian she couldn't do anything? Yiqing Luo's fingers clenched tightly as her charming eyes flickered coldly, filled with unwillingness. Only she could control her own fate. He had to find his profound heart jade as soon as possible. Yiqing Luo bid farewell to Old Man Song and Cauldron Dragon before leaving the Azure Dew Bracelet. The minute her consciousness returned to her body, Yiqing Luo immediately felt hungry. Within the Azure Dew Bracelet she didn't feel anything at all. Once they returned to reality, Yiqing Luo clutched her stomach and shouted with a dry throat, Ziling, Ziling. Ziling, who was guarding outside the door, heard the noise and slammed the door open. Miss, you've finally woken up. Ziling's face was filled with anxiety as she limped and jogged, staggering endlessly. Yiqing Luo narrowed her eyes as she realized something. What happened? Ziling saw that her Mrs. lips were dry and didn't forget to pour a cup of water for her as she spoke. Chapter 60. What? Yiqing Luo's eyes darkened. Yiqing Ling, that little bitch, was the last lesson not enough? Now he actually dared to stir up trouble in her courtyard. She forgot the pain after the scar healed. Yi Fengyu's profound grade was above Yiqing Ling's. But his temperament had not reached the point where he would stand to the end. After all, Yiqing Ling was his fourth sister. Yi Fengyu would never go all out. But Yiqing Ling would not care about the brotherhood. Where is it? Let's go. Yiqing Luo got down from the bed and took out a pill from the profound phoenix ring to replenish her qi and stuffed it into her mouth. Ziling quickly led the way in front. About 20 meters away from the abandoned yard was a corner of the Three Springs Manor's garden. Yiqing Ling held a long sword in her hand and slashed at Yi Fengyu with every move. The long sword made a whoosh sound in the air. She sneered arrogantly, "Call that little waste Yiqing Luo out? Isn't she quite arrogant and presumptuous?" Yiqing Ling didn't know that the current Yi kept dodging and frowned. Under Yiqing Luo's intentional or unintentional influence, family, was slowly changing his inner thoughts. Don't talk nonsense with me. She was not another wave of swords came crashing down. If Yifeng really wanted to fight with her, she would definitely be the one to suffer. Rolled over. Looking at Yifeng, if you continue to be so aggressive, don't blame you for not showing mercy. Avoided the palm strike. Yo, I want to see how you were going to show no mercy. If he had been struck by the wind from the palm, his body flipped in the air and fell to the ground with a thud. You were unwelcome. She clutched her chest with a face full of pain. A daughter of the first wife and also the young matriarch. Sure enough, was bullied. It was just as Yi Qingling had expected. A son of the first wife. Although he could live in the courtyard arranged by his father, no one paid attention to him, and no one regarded him as a son of the first wife of the Yi family. Fourth sister, what was there to be afraid of? Yi Qingling narrowed her eyes. Chapter 61. Two motherless children would never be able to stand firm in the Yi family. Against his neck. Her moves were even more ruthless. Yifeng's face was enraged. He didn't expect Yi broke out of his body, and he swung his palm to meet Yi Qingling for nothing, and you, the younger brother, was taken aback and astonished. You two siblings are really a perfect match. Yifeng made a move against her. Laughed arrogantly, her eyes full of ridicule. Profound rank with several levels higher than the long sword at his neck. What was going on? What made him feel cold was that the person who pointed the sword at him was his own fourth sister. Third level of the mystic. He didn't treat his fourth sister as an enemy, so his personality was weak. However, and he had too many misgivings. Taking his life. When he fought, she wanted his sister's life tied. His sister was right to fight. Even a yellow mystic realm expert would be able to easily. There was an old saying: "There are no fathers and sons on the battlefield." In front of her was completely different from what Yu's sister had described. Although Yi Qingling couldn't see through his profound grade, are you going to stand up for your shameless sister? But she could feel that this was definitely not the power of the mystic profound grade. Didn't you always hate your useless sister? What happened to having a weak personality? He actually Why are you so protective now? If my brother doesn't protect me, do you think he will protect you who is worse than a waste? Yi Qingling had just finished her words when she heard a clear and melodious voice. Immediately Yi Qingling felt a tingling sensation in her arm. Immediately there was a crisp sound of bones breaking. The long sword fell to the ground. Yi Qingling covered her right hand and didn't have time to react. A red shadow flashed in front of her and a leg kicked her chest. Suddenly, her internal organs seemed to be squeezed by something and her body was kicked out. Little Yu, are you okay? Yi Qingluo pulled him over and carefully looked at him. Yifeng Yu shook his head blankly. No, I'm fine. He wasn't the only one who was stunned. Even Yi Qingling, who fell to the ground and spat out blood, was stunned. The one in front of her, was it really that Yi Qingluo? Compared to the last time she saw her, her imposing manner was more majestic and made one's heart tremble. It was obviously the same face, the same eyes. But clearly, it was a beauty that transcended the mortal world. Shocking beauty was enough to enchant all living beings. Trash that didn't even have a profound heart. Jade, when did he have such an extraordinary change? Yi Qingluo confirmed that Yifeng Yu was not injured and turned her sight to Yi Qingling, who was lying on the ground. She slowly stepped forward, her charming eyes revealing an enchanting sneer. Yi Qingling, you've really forgotten the pain after the scar has healed. Since you're so eager to court death, this young matriarch shall fulfill your wish. Bitch. You slut. Yi Qingling clutched her chest and slowly crawled backwards. In Yi Qingling's eyes, the current Yi Qingluo was like an Azura who reaped her life. Fear spread from his heart to his entire body. Every cell in her body was venting out the fear in her heart. Yi Qingluo sneered and didn't continue walking forward. Her charming eyes squinted slightly. Scared? Don't worry. What scares you is yet to come. Yi Qingling's face immediately turned pale like a sheet of paper in fright. Her 5 fingers clutched the ground as she growled in fear. Yi Qingluo, you seduced the crown prince and caused him to refuse to marry eldest sister. Now you still want to kill me? You will be struck by lightning. Yi Qingluo couldn't help but laugh when she heard this. She was also slightly tipsy about Yi Qingling's 3 views. If this lightning really strikes, it will strike you first. Yi Qingluo covered her mouth and giggled. Chapter 62. It seems like, before that I was the rightful future crown princess. The arc on Yi Qingluo's lips deepened. As an elder sister, to go behind your sister's back and snatch your sister's fiancé, shouldn't you be struck by lightning? Yi Qingling lowered her eyes guiltily, not daring to look into Yi Qingluo's eyes. His Highness the Crown Prince. His Highness and big sister are truly in love. It's your fault. When Yi Qingluo heard that, her slender brows rose slightly as she gave an interesting smile. Since you really love each other, then why did you come to settle the debt with me? True love? Heh. Yi Qingluo didn't believe that there was any true love between that pair of scum man and scum woman. If Leng Fenghua wasn't the crown prince, would Yi Qingqian spend so much effort to seduce him? If Leng Fenghua really loved Yi Qingqian, would he not hesitate to choose her, the more valuable 3 spring sex young matriarch? True love? Bah. Don't insult these two words, okay? Yi Qingling was rendered speechless. His face turned red and his fingers scratched the ground, leaving marks on it. Yi Qingluo walked over and half squatted in front of her. Yi Qingling was so scared that her whole body was trembling. You want to live? Yi Qingluo smiled and squinted her eyes. Yi Qingling nodded repeatedly. She knew very well that if Yi Qingluo wanted to kill her now, it would be an easy matter. She didn't even have the chance to resist. Yi Qingling was extremely regretful at this moment. Why did she listen to her eldest sister's words and impulsively seek revenge on Yi Qingluo? Yi Qingluo's slender and fair fingers lifted that trembling chin. Then the corners of her lips curled up, looking incomparably gorgeous. Then, obediently answer a few of my questions. Yi Qingling bit her red lips and was about to spit out some malicious words. Suddenly she felt a sharp pain on her chin. It was so painful that she sucked in air repeatedly, and tears came out of her eyes. I'll talk. Yi Qingling was scared and admitted defeat. Heavenly Fortune, did you and Yi Qingchen join forces with Wuxia to destroy my innocence? Yi Qingluo narrowed her cold eyes and asked in a deep voice. Yi Qingling's face turned pale and her pair of eyes blinked non-stop. No, it's not. The sound of bones breaking rang out from his jaw. It's me. Tears rolled down Yi Qingling's face. Her body had just recovered and she was seriously injured by Yi Qingluo. His heart was filled with frustration and helplessness. My profound heart, Jade, was it you who dug it out? Yi Qingluo's charming eyes refracted even colder. That day she had just crossed over and her chest was bleeding. This was enough to prove that the profound heart jade had just been dug out not long ago. Before that, it was Yi Qingling who knocked her out and fed her the medicine. Yi Qingling's pupils abruptly contracted as she shook her head in fear. Really, it really wasn't me. How would I dare to dig out your profound jade heart? No matter how much she hated Yi Qingluo, she was after all still a young lady in her boudoir. Yi Qingling wouldn't be able to dig out the human heart's jade. But, even if Yi Qingling didn't dig it out, she definitely knew the whereabouts of the profound heart jade. Yi Qingluo's lips curved into an enchanting smile as her 5 fingers wandered frivolously on Yi Qingling's pale little face. Then, tell me who dug it? I don't know. Yi Qingling shook her head frantically, but the moment she met Yi Qingluo's icy cold eyes, she immediately stopped talking. She sobbed and her little body trembled. After a long while, as if she couldn't bear Yi Qingluo's gaze, she cried out bitterly. Chapter 63. Black-Clothed Man? Yi Qingluo searched her memory for information about the black-clothed man. She found nothing. I really don't know who that black-clothed man is. He left after digging out your profound jade heart. I was also forced by him. Seeing Yi Qingluo slow to speak, Yi Qingling fearfully begged for mercy. Looking at Yi Qingling's appearance, she also knew that she shouldn't be lying. That black-clothed man instigated Yi Qingling to lay hands on her, then took the opportunity to dig out her profound jade heart. The target should be her profound jade heart. This wasn't impossible. Since her profound jade heart was born, there were countless people who coveted it. Even Yi Tianquang once wanted to dig out her profound jade heart and refine it himself. Later, if it wasn't for her mother looking for Yi Tianquang to talk for a night. How could this group of people from the Yi family let go of her profound jade heart? Although my profound jade heart wasn't dug out by you, but you can't get away from it. Yi Qingluo's charming eyes slightly narrowed as she spoke in a cold tone. Yi Qingling's whole body trembled as she felt something. I didn't mean it, I was also forced. You promised not to kill me? I won't kill you. Yi Qingluo slowly straightened up, an enchanting smile leaping into her eyes. That smile was unable to conceal the bloodthirsty cold glint in her eyes. Then you want? Yi Qingling cried out in horror. Meeting Yi Qingluo's eyes, she felt as if an ice-cold viper was coiling around her neck, unable to breathe. Yi Qingluo's lips curled up, bewitching and enchanting. Because of you, my profound jade heart was dug out, then I'll destroy your profound jade heart, how about that? Yi Qingling's complexion immediately turned ashen. She desperately shook her head and sobbed incessantly. 7th sister, 4th sister knows she was wrong. 4th sister knows she was wrong. I beg you, don't destroy my profound jade heart. Destroying the profound jade heart was equivalent to destroying her cultivation. Without profound chi, she was a waste. 3 Spring sect. Absolutely wouldn't treat a waste well. Just look at the previous Yi Qingluo and you'd know. Yi Qingling was so scared that tears flowed unceasingly. The drops of tears ruined the makeup on her face. A mess of red and green. Didn't I beg you before? But how did you treat me? Yi Qing Luo squinted her eyes as she smiled calmly. In his memory he clearly remembered it. When Yi Qing Ling forced her to take medicine and sent her to Heavenly Fortune Inn, she begged bitterly. However, Yi Qing Ling was getting more and more excited. Now Yi Qing Luo was the same. Seventh sister. Seventh sister. Yi Qing Ling sobbed and her body kept crawling backward. Under her body there was a pool of blood. Yi Qing Luo smiled like a flower as she slowly raised her hand and a burst of profound qi condensed in her palm. Yi Qing Ling's eyes widened in disbelief as she stared at the profound qi in Yi Qing Luo's hand. Wasn't her profound heart jade dug out? Why could she still release her profound qi? Don't be afraid, I will be fast, so fast that you won't feel any pain. Yi Qing Luo raised her palm high and aimed at Yi Qing Ling's chest. Killing intent. A strong sense reminded Yi Qing Luo that there was danger behind her. Yi Qing Luo's legs moved. Boom. Only to see that the place where she was just standing had exploded into a huge deep pit. Yi Qing Luo withdrew her hand and looked towards the direction of the killing intent. She saw Yi Tianquang walking over in a rage. Behind him Yi Qing Jian also followed. Vile spawn. You actually dare to harm your own brothers. Yi Tianquang bellowed, the veins on his forehead bulging. As soon as he approached, his palms suffused with a cold jade light. Chapter 64. Bursts of strong wind stirred up the dust on the ground. The strong waves that could topple mountains and overturn the seas whistled. It was enough to see how much profound energy Yi Tianquang used in this palm. Yi Qing Luo didn't dodge this time. Instead, the corners of her lips slightly curled up, revealing a cold smile. She immediately released her profound qi. The wind from her palm turned into two dragons. The imposing manner was like a rainbow, directly colliding with Yi Tianquang's palm wind. There was another deafening boom. Two profound qi collided in midair. Profound qi suddenly exploded, the entire garden, branches flew everywhere. Both retreated a few steps. Yi Tianquang's complexion changed. When he saw Yi Qing Luo withstanding his palm strike and even matching that palm strike of his face was filled with disbelief. Yi Qing Qian opened her mouth wide. She was so surprised that she forgot to take the opportunity to support Yi Qing Ling to her side. At this time, the father and daughter only had one thought in their minds: how was this possible? Wasn't Yi Qing Luo a waste? A waste who didn't even have a profound jade heart? How could she receive her father's palm strike? Were they dreaming? I didn't expect father to say the words fratricidal. It really makes me look at you in a new light. Yi Qing Luo sneered. Thinking back, Yi Qing Ling and the others had done fratricidal things many times. Yi Tianquang didn't even say half a word. Yi Tianquang fiercely gritted his teeth, his complexion gloomy. Qing Ling is your fourth sister. No matter what mistakes she made, you shouldn't make a move. Fourth sister let people dig away my profound jade heart, causing me to almost lose my life. Now I'll destroy her profound jade heart and let her live. It's a very good deal. Yi Qing Luo raised her eyebrows, her tone full of ridicule. You dare. Yi Tianquang angrily stamped his feet, pointing at Yi Qing Luo, his fingers trembling. Then let your daughter see how father will stop your daughter. The last word just spat out from Yi Qing Luo's mouth. Yi Qing Luo already made a move. Her figure flashed, only enough time to see a magnificent red shadow. She was already crawling on the ground, trying to leave this dangerous place, next to Yi Qing Ling. Her slender hands grabbed onto Yi Qing Ling's clothes as if she was carrying rubbish. The profound qi in his palm struck Yi Qing Luo's chest with a bam. He could clearly hear the sound of something shattering. Yi Qing Ling only felt a sharp pain in her heart. Her tightly pursed lips overflowed with a few streaks of blood. Something inside him broke. He felt as if all the energy in his body had been sucked dry. He fell to the ground powerlessly, unable to move. He let the blood on his body and in his mouth ooze out bit by bit. The position of Yi Qing Luo's palm strike was neither biased nor coincidental. It just happened to be the position of the profound heart jade. Even Yi Qing Ling's heart was unharmed. Ling, Qing Ling. Yi Qing Jian and Yi Tianquang immediately shouted. Evil creature. Yi Tianquang's eyes were scarlet as he flew into a rage out of humiliation. Yi Tianquang in this lifetime had only produced such a waste like Yi Qing Luo. He had lost all his dignity. Now another one had appeared. What was the difference between a person whose profound heart jade was destroyed and a cripple? Yi Qing Luo made a move against Yi Qing Ling in front of him. This was a naked challenge to his authority, a slap to his face. Yi Tianquang roared explosively, his palms pressing out a powerful imposing manner. It was unknown how many times more valiant this wave of chi was compared to the previous palm strike. However, no matter how strong it was, it still couldn't do anything to Yiqing Luo. She leapt, the five-pointed star pattern released under her feet. Chapter 65. The five-pointed star pattern under Yiqing Luo's feet clearly announced that she had already entered the profound realm. She was no longer the wastrel who was despised by everyone. However, Yi Tianquang wasn't as excited as expected. His expression was as cold as ever, and his sharp eyes were covered in frost. He didn't feel that the Yi family's daughter becoming a profound practitioner was something to be happy about. Seventh sister. No matter what method you used to become a profound practitioner, you shouldn't have done anything to fourth sister. Yiqing Qian suddenly opened her mouth, her gentle face full of seriousness. She assumed the posture of an elder sister. Ling is your fourth sister, how can you be so cruel? Yiqing Luo swept her eyes over Yiqing Qian and couldn't help but sneer. Afraid that Yi Tianquang would be soft-hearted after knowing she was a profound practitioner? So she deliberately aroused Yi Tianquang's anger and made a move on her? Yiqing Luo's gaze returned to Yi Tianquang's face. From Yi Tianquang's eyes, she couldn't see the slightest bit of soft-heartedness. It was true that he wanted to kill her. Yi Tianquang's attitude really made people think deeply. Previously, he hated Yiqing Luo because she was a waste and lost the Yi family's face. Now, she had already become a profound practitioner, and her strength was clearly above the Yi family's young masters and young ladies. Yi Tianquang's attitude towards her was still the same as before. Or could it be that Yi Tianquang's hatred towards her had already become a kind of habit? Or, there was another reason? Evil creature. If I don't teach you a good lesson today, I will be the Three Springs sect's patriarch in vain. Yiqing Qian ignited the anger in Yi Tianquang's heart. During this time he had always been led by the nose by Yiqing Luo. In front of the common people she didn't give the Yi family any face. Moreover, she plotted to make Three Springs sect and Yuqi family enemies. He really foolishly stood up for Yiqing Luo and found the Yuqi family's patriarch. Thinking of the humiliation he suffered at the Yuqi family, the anger in Yi Tianquang's eyes burned even more fiercely. The brown five-pointed star pattern suddenly spread from the soles of her feet. Yi Tianquang released his profound energy. Both of his palms shot out like snakes and dragons, and his aura immediately swallowed the mountains and rivers. That was an extremely dazzling ray of light. His palms condensed and moved. Both palms seemed to have turned into an illusion. The speed was so fast that Yiqing Luo couldn't see it clearly. Oh, Lord Father is so easily angered, it's easy to look old. Yiqing Luo sneered. Soon after, the tip of his foot pushed off the ground, and his entire body met the wind from his palm, heading straight for Yi Tianquang's face. Courting death. This was obviously a blatant provocation. Yi Tianquang's eyes darkened, and his palms fiercely chopped out. He sent out a few palm strikes in succession, and they were like huge waves that stacked on top of each other. Boom boom boom, the ear-piercing cracking sound was deafening. Chi waves surged and gravel flew everywhere. It was impossible to see anything clearly in this corner of the garden. Apart from Yi Tianquang, Yiqing Jian and Yiqing Ling, there were no other signs of life. Yi Tianquang coldly withdrew his hand. He clapped his hands and sneered in his heart. A puny yellow profound practitioner actually dared to act so insolently in front of him. Did he really think he was the young lord of the Three Springs sect? If it wasn't for, Father? Suddenly, a frightened voice interrupted Yi Tianquang's complacent thoughts. He turned his head. But he saw that the woman who should have died under his palm was now leisurely and contentedly clutching Yiqing Jian's neck. That pair of eyes that could charm all living beings held a faint smile as she gazed at him. Yi Tianquang immediately felt his heart tremble. Chapter 66. What kind of pair of eyes were those? They were obviously long and narrow, yet they were suffused with a cold light. A bloodthirsty murderous aura was like a sharp blade. Just a glance was enough to make one's heart feel like it was being cut by a sharp blade. The flying sand and pebbles gradually came to a stop. The corner of the woman's mouth held a sneer, the coldness in her eyes became more and more penetrating. Father, come hit me. Yiqing Luo's charming eyes were tinged with a smile as she pointed at Yiqing Qian's chest. Yiqing Qian was Yi Tianquang's most valued daughter, how could he bear to hit her? Yi Tianquang was so angry that his face turned ashen and very unsightly. His hands clenched into fists, his whole body was burning with anger, blowing his robe and making it flutter. Vile spawn, I've shown mercy, but it's become an excuse for you to strut around. Good, watch this. Yiqing Luo's charming eyes slightly narrowed, the corner of her mouth rose into a meaningful smile. She suddenly let go of Yiqing Qian and quickly retreated a few steps, distancing herself from the two. All right, then let your daughter see how capable Lord Father is when he doesn't show mercy. Yiqing Luo's eyes flickered. It just so happened that she had just cultivated in the Azure Dew bracelet and reached the yellow profound 9th grade. 9th grade was equivalent to Yiqing Ling's current profound grade. But, the same profound grade on different people could have completely different power. To deal with a weak trash like Yiqing Ling, even if she had an ordinary body that couldn't cultivate profound qi, she could still be abused to the point that her parents wouldn't recognize her. Against Yiqing Qian there was no challenge at all. In the first layer of the Azure Dew Purgatory, the real combat opponents were wild beasts that didn't understand human nature. That kind of combat could improve the combat level. But it couldn't cultivate the ability to adapt to danger when fighting with others. It was better to use Yi Tianquang to practice. Yiqing Luo's action was obviously 2 slaps on Yi Tianquang's face. Yi Tianquang was immediately unable to restrain his anger and raised his palm. The momentum of this palm was indeed completely different from the previous one. Waves of qi gradually flowed around his palm. A huge palm print converged on top of his head. The powerful profound qi drove the spiritual qi of heaven and earth, converging into the palm print bit by bit. Ha! A low roar exploded from Yi Tianquang's mouth. The palm print floating above his head suddenly flashed with lightning-like flowing light. The entire space was filled with a cold gust of wind. Yiqing Luo's red dress fluttered in the wind. The ground beneath his feet trembled violently, as if it was about to split open. Soon after, Yi Tianquang raised both of his arms, shook them and shouted. That palm print turned into numerous silhouettes, covering the sky and earth as it pressed down towards Yiqing Luo. Yiqing Luo steadied herself in the horse stance and swiftly mobilized the profound qi in her body. With a flip of his palms, a cold current gushed out from his palms. Boom! The deafening sound of the collision caused the air in the entire space to freeze. Yiqing Luo condensed her profound qi once again and forced it towards her palms. She pushed the strength in her palms and forced the palm print to retreat. In terms of profound qi, she was naturally inferior to Yi Tianquang. In the competition of profound qi, in just a few breaths of time, she had already been forcefully suppressed to the point where she was unable to stand straight. His legs gradually bent. Yiqing Luo clenched her teeth and shouted loudly, "Break for me!" A scorching heat suddenly ignited in her heart. In an instant, the scorching heat gathered in her palms. It was the profound jade heart. Chapter 67. Good job. The profound jade heart's power came at just the right time. Yiqing Luo's cold eyes flashed with a cold glint. Her palms gathered boundless power. Profound qi suddenly turned into a tornado, wreaking havoc between heaven and earth. Unexpectedly, it forced Yi Tianquang's palm qi back. The earth quaked and the mountains swayed, the sky fell and the earth split. Everything in the surroundings exploded. Yiqing Qian and Yiqing Ling were also forced to take a few steps back by this strong force. Only, at the same time that the palm qi was pushed back, Yiqing Luo's heart suddenly felt a dull pain. As if her heart had been ruthlessly cut in half by someone with a knife. Yiqing Luo's complexion was slightly pale, she endured the pain and stood up straight. Yi Tianquang simply didn't expect that Yiqing Luo could actually force back his profound qi. By the time he regained his wits and wanted to avoid that palm wind, it was already too late. The palm wind brushed past his shoulder. His luxurious clothes were torn apart, his entire body, under that powerful qi, fiercely rolled back twice. Soon after, he barely managed to steady his footing, cut an incomparably sorry figure. Fresh blood gushed out from Yi Tianquang's shoulder. "Father." Yiqing Jian called out worriedly, looking at Yiqing Luo with an additional trace of fear. Everyone was dumbfounded in place. Eyes full of astonishment, eyes full of disbelief, they were already unable to express their current mood. Yiqing Luo could cultivate profound qi without the profound jade heart, it was very strange. Yiqing Luo could cultivate profound qi, her profound level was at the yellow profound level, yet she could fight evenly with an earth profound practitioner. This was especially strange. A piece of trash, just what was it about him that allowed him to undergo such a huge change? Still want to go? Yiqing Luo coldly swept over Yi Tianquang's injured shoulder. The smile on the corner of her mouth became increasingly enchanting. Yi Tianquang's expression was gloomy. A dignified earth profound practitioner was injured by a little waste who had just become a profound practitioner. Especially this person was his daughter who he had always disdained. What kind of humiliation was this? He wanted to move, but his chest was stuffy and he spat out a mouthful of blood. Father. Yi Fengyu, who was chased far away by Yi Qingluo, saw Yi Tianquang spit out blood, and his expression immediately congealed. In his heart, although Yi Tianquang wasn't a successful father, he was still his father. Sister, you can't fight anymore, you can't fight anymore. Yi Fengyu supported Yi Tianquang's body as he turned his head to plead with Yi Qingluo. Yi Qingluo shot him a cold glance. On your account, I'll stop here today. If anyone dares to create trouble in my courtyard next time, all of you will crawl out. With that, she turned around and left. As soon as he moved, he felt a sharp pain in his chest. She took a deep breath and bit her lower lip, trying her best to make her steps look less awkward. Evil creature. Suddenly, a furious shout came from behind him. Yi Qingluo acutely sensed something, but before she could react, she was sent flying by a palm strike. Yi Qingluo's body was thrown into the sky and fell onto the ground. Sister. Yi Fengyu's eyes widened and his legs immediately rushed towards Yi Qingluo. Yi Tianquang swayed as he stood in front of Yi Qingluo. His eyes were ruthless as he laughed complacently. Vile spawn. As he laughed, he coughed out a few mouthfuls of blood. He had originally suffered internal injuries, and that palm strike just now had practically used up all the strength in his body. After laughing, that strong and sturdy body fell straight onto the ground. Ah! Yi Qingluo clutched her chest and wiped the blood stain at the corner of her mouth. In order to injure her, Yi Tianquang had really gone all out. Even his old life had to be thrown away. Chapter 68. Sister, I'm sorry, it's all my fault. Yi Fengyu's heart was filled with guilt. If he hadn't pleaded for Yi Tianquang, Yi Qingluo wouldn't have been injured. Yi Qingluo didn't blame her brother, she knew her brother's character very well. She was a person who had transmigrated here, so she didn't have any feelings towards Yi Tianquang. Killing him was the same as killing a stranger. But Yi Fengyu was different. Yi Tianquang treated Yi Fengyu pretty well, and Yi Fengyu also treated him with extreme respect. Naturally, Yi Fengyu didn't want to see her and her father kill each other. She held Yi Fengyu's hand and shook her head. I'm fine. Help me back to the house. The one in trouble was most likely Yi Tianquang. Her line of sight coldly glanced at Yi Tianquang, who was lying on the ground. A cold smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. That smile caused Yi Qingjian, who had come to support Yi Tianquang, to feel her scalp go numb. Watching Yi Tianquang fall unconscious in a pool of blood, Yi Qingluo felt that the wounds on her body weren't that painful anymore. Yi Qingluo clutched her chest for the smallest grievance to look at her principle and the rule of survival. Footsteps halted as he turned back and met with Yi Qingluo's pair of chilly eyes. Have it easy either. He smiled. Yi Fengyu's thoughts were all on Yi Qingluo. He walked out of the room and had just turned around to close the door when he carefully picked up his sister and held her in his arms. You can't just endure everything. The young boy looked thin and weak, but his strength was not small. On your head. Yi Qingluo are the legitimate sons and daughters of the first wife of the Yi family. A trace of warmth spread in his heart. Will take care of it. The coldness in his eyes gradually dissipated. Was about to close the door. What replaced it was a warm smile that she had never shown closed the door. Yi Qingluo leaned her master on her brother's shoulder and suddenly felt that her brother had really grown up. Be it in her previous life or this life, this was the first time that someone had let her lean on his shoulders. In the room, Xiao Yu's personality still leaned against the head of the bed with a pale face. Only by understanding the fickleness of the medicinal soup that Yi Fengyu had passed to her mouth. This medicinal soup was used to treat internal injuries. Ziling was worried that once she left, no one would take care of her Mrs. worried expression. I'm tired, she could only brace herself and finish the bitter medicinal soup. Up her body and she had medicinal pills to treat internal injuries. She had her face full of exhaustion. It melted as soon as it entered his mouth. Tucked Yi Qingluo. There was no taste at all to chase and its effects were many times better than this medicinal soup. At the instance when the room door closed, however, Yi Fengyu didn't give her a chance to speak. Suddenly, after drinking a bowl of medicinal soup, the relaxed expression on her face also softened a little. She raised her hand and placed it on his chest that was wrapped in layers of bandages. Good care of Yi Qingluo. Profound jade heart. Then he left the abandoned courtyard. It wasn't Yi Tianquang was also seriously injured, but when she resisted, it was reasonable for him to go over and take a look. The profound jade heart suddenly today's matter has nothing to do with you. The current her couldn't even release you. Just look to check the condition of her injury. Once she moved, her heart throbbed with pain as if it was torn by something. She endured the pain and put on an unharmed appearance. She didn't want Yi Fengyu and Ziling to worry about her. Without the profound jade heart, it meant that she had no way to operate profound chi. She was equivalent to a cripple. She didn't give up and closed her eyes. She wanted to use her divine sense to explore her heart and see if her profound jade heart was intact. But just as she withdrew her divine sense, that tearing pain attacked again. Oh! A mouthful of sweet blood rushed up her throat. Yiqing Luo abruptly opened her eyes as she laid prone on the bed, and with a wah sound, she spat out a mouthful of blood. Looks like the injury isn't light, little thing. Suddenly, a deep and mellow voice sounded in the room like fine wine intoxicating people's hearts. Yiqing Luo's body suddenly froze on the bed. There was someone in the room? She actually didn't sense it at all. Could it be that there was a problem with the profound jade heart? The instinct that had been formed over so many years would also have a problem? Yiqing Luo's eyes were sharp as she looked towards the direction of the voice. What she saw was a handsome face with peerless elegance. That pair of deep peach blossom eyes flashed with a demonic luster as he looked at her with a smile that wasn't a smile. Yiqing Luo's heart trembled for no reason. It's him. Diamo Xian. No wonder she couldn't sense the other's aura. How did you? Yiqing Luo's slender brows creased tightly as she looked at him vigilantly. Little thing, have you forgotten our 1-month appointment so quickly? Diamo Xian raised his eyebrows slightly. In the blink of an eye, he was already standing beside the bed. The strong wind brought along the elegant sandalwood scent unique to him. The promise of a month. Of course she remembered. This was the time limit for the profound heart jade that Diamo Xian had given her. Are you here to deliver the profound heart jade? Yiqing Luo narrowed her eyes and went straight to the point. Diamo Xian didn't expect her to be so straightforward. His long and narrow eyes revealed a meaningful smile. Little thing, you only remember this lord's profound heart jade? Of course. Yiqing Luo raised her eyes and examined Diamo Xian from head to toe as if she was examining a commodity. Apart from being able to give me the profound heart jade, do you have any other value? Ha, ha, interesting. Diamo Xian suddenly burst into laughter, his chest shaking, unable to stop laughing. Little thing, you're getting more and more interesting. He bent over and placed his palm on Yiqing Luo's chest. This lord's decision a month ago is indeed not wrong. His eyes were dyed with a smile. A peerless beauty that caused people to be infatuated. Yiqing Luo's delicate body slightly trembled. Although she was clear that Diamo Xian's action was merely to investigate the profound heart jade in her body. Chapter 70. Yiqing Luo's face blushed slightly. In her past life, no one dared to touch her because of her status. In this life, she carried the title of the future crown prince consort and was a waste. No one was willing to get close to her. She was suddenly touched by a strange man like this. No matter who it was, they would also feel embarrassed. Although this wasn't the first time Diamo Xian touched her chest. But the last time, under those circumstances, she had no time to blush. The dignified overlord, touching a young lady without any explanation. Aren't you afraid of being ridiculed by the world? Yiqing Luo bit her lower lip and endured the burning sensation on her face. Oh. Diamo Xian raised his eyebrows and gave an evil smile. Who dares to ridicule? And I, ma. Yiqing Luo only had these 2 words in her heart to express her current mood. Fine. You're the overlord, you're awesome, you're willful. Who the hell dares to laugh at you, old man? If you want to ridicule, you should ridicule me for trying to seduce the overlord, blah 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 blah. Fine. Old mother. Admit. Coward. Yiqing Luo curled her lips, too lazy to argue with Diamo Xian on this topic. Blush for what? Anyway, it's flat now, touch it if you want, who's afraid of who? Yiqing Luo, who calmed down, only felt that the temperature of the palm in front of her chest gradually rose. Suddenly, a ball of dazzling light overflowed from his palm. In an instant, it wrapped his hand into a ball. At the same time, the light seeped into Yiqing Luo's heart. Bursts of sharp pain in her heart were wrapped by a warm current. Powerful profound qi rushed into her limbs and bones. Yiqing Luo immediately closed her eyes and guided the profound qi in her body to circulate a few times before returning to her profound jade heart. Yiqing Luo didn't see that the light in front of her chest was faintly flickering with a treacherous red light. Flickering, extremely weak. Diamo Xian's slender fingers gently touched that red light. His peach blossom eyes were filled with a meaningful smile. The profound jade heart formed again. Yiqing Luo revolved her profound qi, and after a few circulations, the injuries on her body had slightly eased up. At least it wasn't like before, the pain was simply unbearable. When he opened his eyes again, he was faced with the same peerless and flawless face. At such a close distance, his breath sprayed on her face. Yiqing Luo could even clearly see the man's long eyelashes, thick and naturally curled upwards. The corners of her eyes were long and charming. The luster in his eyes exuded a captivating charm. To be honest, this face was really pleasing to the eye. Why are you still here? Yi Qing Luo frowned. The implication was, you can get lost now. Dmo Xian's smile deepened, his voice was filled with an intoxicating magnetism. You've just finished using me and you want to chase me away? Little thing, you're really fickle. Finishing his words, he had already closed in on Yi Qing Luo and his long arms scooped. Yi Qing Luo's entire body had already fallen into Dmo Xian's embrace. The rich fragrance of sandalwood seeped into one's nose. His warmth chased away the chill in her body. This temperature, this thickness, it was a completely different feeling from Yi Fengyu. Little thing, I have plenty of time to accompany you now. This time I've come to find you, I don't intend to leave. Dmo Xian's deep voice slowly sounded beside her ear. Between the words, there was even a hint of laughter mixed in. Not leaving? What did he mean? Dmo Xian was prepared to stay by her side? What the hell? What kind of joke was this? Die. She couldn't afford to serve such a great Buddha. Chapter 71. Dmo Xian lowered his eyes, his deep black eyes gazed deeply at the person in his arms. At such a young age, she had already displayed a devastatingly beautiful appearance. Especially that pair of charming eyes, which was the most attractive. Clearly, it was wrapped with a layer of coquettish eyes. But in the depths of her eyes, it was like the winter frost. If one looked closely, one's scalp would tingle and tremble. Dmo Xian loved this pair of eyes. A person's eyes were the easiest to reveal a person's emotions. However, he was unable to see through Yi Qing Luo's heart. On the contrary, he was attracted to her. Yi Qing Luo felt goosebumps all over her body from his stare and wanted to break free from his hand. But Dmo Xian suddenly hugged her shoulders tightly. The next second, her chin was lifted. The man's cold thin lips had already covered her lips. 4 lips touched, the cold touch instantly dissipated between the two of them. What replaced it was a ball of blazing hot breath. Yi Qing Luo's eyes widened, the temperature of her lips, gradually rising. It was until the man's large palm pressed against her slender waist, that Yi Qing Luo suddenly regained her senses. A trace of embarrassment surfaced on her face. Yi Qing Luo raised her palm and fiercely slammed towards Dmo Xian's chest. The man who was stealing her scent was extremely sensitive to avoid it. Little thing, you are really fickle. Dmo Xian's slender fingers caressed his thin red lips. The tip of his tongue licked a bit, seemingly unsatisfied. No matter what, I am also your savior. Is this how you repay your savior? This action successfully angered Yi Qing Luo. I will repay kindness, but it does not mean that I will repay with my body. She gritted her teeth, propped up her body and raised her palm to strike. Damn it. And this was the first time someone dared to tease her. But the hand that was raised high had not had the time to swing down. Her small hand was grasped by a large and thick palm. 5 fingers forcefully and domineeringly inserted into her 5 fingers, 10 fingers interlocked. The profound chi in her body seemed to be suppressed by something unable to be released. Little thing, take a look, what is this? Dmo Xian leaned close to Yi Qing Luo's delicate body, held their tightly interlocked hands and pointed at their fingers. Both of them wore the same ring on their ring fingers. When the 10 fingers intertwined, the red light on the ring seemed to be tightly intertwined with each other. Do you still remember the words this lord had said? Dmo Xian's brows narrowed slightly as his peach blossom eyes sparkled with an intoxicating luster. Looking at the profound phoenix ring, Yi Qing Luo's ears seemed to ring with the words she heard that day at Heavenly Fortune Inn. Since you've accepted this sovereign's ring, you're now this sovereign's person. What Dmo Xian was trying to express was that she was his woman. Chapter 72. Damn. This was definitely a fake Dizun. Did he have to be so shameless? Yi Qing Luo's expression congealed as her charming eyes met the man's eyes. The dignified overlord is pestering a weak girl. Could it be that I have something that interests the overlord? She wasn't so narcissistic to think that Dmo Xian was attracted to her beauty, falling in love at first sight and falling in love again. Such a Mary Sue scenario would never happen to her. The only possibility was she had something that Dmo Xian needed. Only benefits would make a high and mighty man extend a helping hand to a girl he didn't even know. A flash of astonishment flashed across the depths of Dmo Xian's eyes. Soon after, his thin lips curled into a devilish smile. Little thing, you're really smart. I like smart girls like you. So, what do you like about me? Sure enough, he had other motives. Yi Qing Luo frowned slightly as she pondered about what she had that was worth Dmo Xian's attention. Azure Dew bracelet? Shouldn't be possible. The Azure Dew bracelet was the Yi family's heirloom and could only be contracted by those with the Yi family's bloodline. Even if Dmo Xian took it away, it would just be an ordinary bracelet. Dragon God Cauldron? Not possible. Dmo Xian didn't even bat an eyelid when he gave her the profound phoenix ring. He shouldn't be lacking in alchemy equipment. These 2 legendary artifacts seemed to be the most valuable ones on her. What did Dmo Xian fancy? Little thing, since you're so smart, then guess well. If you guess correctly, this lord will tell you. A low chuckle sounded in her ears. Cold thin lips pressed against her earlobe. The man's elegant sandalwood scent and that cold touch inexplicably made Yi Qing Luo think of that kiss just now. If I guess correctly, do I need you to tell me? Yi Qing Luo flew into a rage out of humiliation. Damn it. This was simply too suffocating. She couldn't beat Dmo Xian, so she could only let him take advantage of her. She was too weak. In this era where the strong preyed on the weak, only by becoming stronger than others could one have the qualifications to step on others. If I don't tell you, how will you know that you guessed correctly? Dmo Xian's face was full of smiles as he admired that peerless countenance with incomparable delight. Under his words, he was almost driven mad. This little fellow was really interesting. It had been a long time since anyone could pique his interest. Seeing the little guy going crazy, he felt like he was teasing a little pet. Dmo Xian retracted the brilliance in his eyes as his palms supported Yi Qing Luo's face. Little thing, something like the profound heart jade can't be formed just because you say so. You can extend the time limit just because you say so. What does that mean? If you want the time limit of the profound heart jade to be extended, you must always be together with this lord. Dmo Xian's thin lips curled up frivolously, the corners of his long and narrow eyes rippling with light. Yi Qing Luo was just about to berate him for being so thick-skinned to the point of throwing away his moral integrity just to stay behind. In her mind, old man Song's voice suddenly resounded, "Girl, what he said is the truth." Yi Qing Luo was puzzled as she asked in her heart, "Why do you say that?" The profound heart jade that he formed for you is a part of the energy extracted from his own profound heart jade and transferred to you. In other words, his profound heart jade is the parent body of the profound heart jade in your body. In other words, the profound heart jade in her heart right now was the energy that was split from Dmo Xian's profound heart jade. If Dmo Xian was by her side, the profound heart jade in her body could be controlled. Chapter 73. Wasn't this forcefully binding her and Dmo Xian together? Yi Qing Luo really wanted to howl with backbone. Sister vows to die rather than submit. She would rather not have Dmo Xian's profound heart jade than to be involved with this dangerous person. But she admitted defeat. From old man Song's words, she also understood. Looking at the entire Nirvana realm, She was afraid that there wouldn't be a second person who could help her form a profound heart jade. Even if she found one, that person might not be willing to form a profound heart jade for her. She might not be willing to be bound to that person. Before she found her own profound heart jade, she could only accept DMO Xian's help. I'm also too lazy to chase you away, you can stay if you want. Yiqing Luo looked up, her tone solemn, but, my matters, you better not interfere. This man was too powerful, too unfathomable. With such a man by her side, if she couldn't control the consequences, it was very likely that she would be controlled by him for life. DMO Xian's eyes were dark, his thin lips curled up as he teased. A few days ago, who was the one who took this lord's clothes and used it to intimidate others? Yiqing Luo suddenly frowned, her gaze piercing straight towards DMO Xian's heart like an arrow. You investigated me? Little thing to say investigated, this is too serious. DMO Xian lazily leaned on Yiqing Luo's side. This lord only let wind protect you in secret. Protection? Damn, she was almost beaten to death several times, but didn't see that black-clad youth appear? What kind of protection was that? To put it bluntly, it was surveillance. It seemed that DMO Xian cared a lot about something on her. Too lazy to argue with him, Yiqing Luo rolled her eyes. Also, don't call me little thing, although I'm not as graceful as other girls of the same age, but I still have what I deserve. 15 years old, in ancient times, was already the age for marriage. Calling him little thing, could it be that DMO Xian was already an old man? She stared at DMO Xian's face for a long time. No matter how she looked, this face looked like it was in its 20s. Could it be that DMO Xian's profound grade was at least above sky profound? In his memories, profound practitioners above the sky profound realm would be able to retain their youthful looks once they reached a certain realm. It was highly possible that DMO Xian was an old man in his 70s or 80s. DMO Xian did not know what she was thinking. He only felt that Yiqing Luo's bold and unpretentious words were very interesting. He laughed out as his vision swept past a certain part of Yiqing Luo. This lord really can't tell where you have it. Pui. Yiqing Luo spat at him unhappily. Although it wasn't big, it definitely wasn't small either, okay? Furthermore, this thing had to be in the right size so that it would look more coordinated, right? If you don't call me little thing, then I'll call you Luo. DMO Xian's index finger lightly touched the tip of her nose. Luo should also call my name in this way. Yiqing Luo acutely discovered that when DMO Xian said this sentence, he had already abandoned the self-address of this lord. Did this mean that he had already discarded his identity in front of her? Calling his name? Xian? Yiqing Luo felt a chill down her spine as goosebumps formed all over her body. She turned her head away, showing a look that she didn't want to talk to him. DMO Xian's peach blossom eyes narrowed slightly, but spontaneously continued the previous topic. Don't worry, I like to see the process of you slowly becoming stronger. Naturally, I will not intervene in any of your matters. If he intervened, there would be no such fun little thing. This tone, made Yiqing Luo's slender brows tightly knit together. Why did it feel like he was coaxing a pet? Chapter 74. Perhaps it was because he had just come out of the Azure Dew bracelet, and concocting pills had consumed too much of his energy. Afterwards he was injured by Yi Tianquang. Not long after he was extremely sleepy. Yiqing Luo simply couldn't be bothered about DMO Xian's existence as she shut her eyes and went straight to sleep. In a daze, Yiqing Luo only felt that her body was as light as a feather, floating and floating. After floating for an unknown amount of time, she finally felt her feet touch the ground. She immediately opened her eyes and blinked blankly. After seeing everything clearly, Yiqing Luo was totally dumbfounded. His pupils dilated infinitely, and his eyes were filled with astonishment. The place she was at was actually a battlefield that was covered in corpses and blood. The surroundings were shrouded in raging flames. The war drums were beating and the shouts were hoarse. The countless figures on the battlefield faced each other with their swords and sabers. Profound chi soared into the sky. This was no ordinary battle. Instead, it was a battle between two profounders. Yiqing Luo's brows creased slightly as she couldn't understand what the hell was going on. Just as he was about to pull over a soldier beside him who was about to rush into the battlefield, he wanted to ask about it. However, his outstretched hand went right through the soldier. Holy shit. What the hell? Yiqing Luo's eyes widened as she raised her hand. Had she turned into a ghost, or had she met a ghost? Hey, where are you guys, can you see me? Yiqing Luo jumped in front of a soldier and waved her hands in front of him. However, the soldier also directly passed through her, roaring as he charged into the battlefield. No one could see her, no one could touch her. Yiqing Luo tried to call out to Old Man Song, but no matter how she called out, she couldn't get any response at all. In this unfamiliar place, Yiqing Luo was unable to ascertain her safety. She didn't dare to rashly extract her divine sense into the azure dew bracelet. Just as she was filled with confusion, a sudden burning sensation started to burn her heart. Yiqing Luo's face turned pale as she suddenly clutched her chest. No, something was not right. What hurt was not the heart, but the profound heart jade. A powerful force was currently pressing down on her profound jade heart. What was going on? It was just a nap. How could he sleepwalk in his sleep? Roar, roar, a sharp beast roar broke through the sky. All the profound practitioners on the battlefield stopped what they were doing when they heard this roar. A powerful aura instantly enveloped the entire battlefield. The roar grew louder and louder. His roar shook the earth and the mountains. With another roar, the ground cracked. Yiqing Luo clutched her chest with one hand, enduring the bursts of scorching pain from her profound jade heart. Her complexion was pale as she looked towards the direction where the voice came from. What kind of beast was roaring? He was actually able to shock the hundreds of thousands of profound practitioners present. No matter if it was her past or present life, Yiqing Luo had at most seen 200 to 300 people. Because of her one sentence, they froze on the spot, not daring to move. Hundreds of thousands of profound practitioners were in a deadlock on the battlefield where blood flowed like a river. It was an incomparably magnificent sight. Whether that wild beast was friend or foe was still unclear. But Yiqing Luo wasn't that nervous, only feeling curious. Anyway, no one on the battlefield could see or touch her. Perhaps this beast was her opportunity to return to the Nirvana realm. Thinking of this, Yiqing Luo was even more curious about that wild beast. After the time it takes for half an incense stick to burn, the roar of the wild beast gradually stopped. Chapter 75. That lump of white thing leaped into the air. Instantly, Yiqing Luo was shrouded in a shadow. That huge thing directly pounced on Yiqing Luo to the ground. Damn it! Pouncing on someone without saying a word. Wasn't she transparent here? No one could see her, no one could touch her. How did this lump of ghost thing accurately pin her down? Hey hey hey, move your paw, I'm about to be squashed to death by you. Yiqing Luo shouted. Wait a minute, something seemed wrong. Paw? Right. What pressed on her face was a huge paw, directly feeding her a mouthful of mud. A fishy smell assaulted her nose. This lump of white huge thing was furry and smelly. But the strength it used to press on Yiqing Luo was very well controlled. Its size was at least 3 times the size of Yiqing Luo. But all he did was rub his plump head against her chest. But it only used one paw to cover her face. Not heavy, just smelly. However, the white behemoth had no intention of letting her go. Even if it didn't crush her to death, it wanted to stink her to death. The huge thing let go of its paw, and before Yiqing Luo could catch her breath, she saw it open its bloody mouth. A mouthful of stinky breath directly sprayed down towards Yiqing Luo's face. Before she fainted, Yiqing Luo's peripheral vision seemed to sweep across the hundreds of thousands of people on the battlefield, one after another, kneeling down in her direction. After that, she lost all consciousness. Lass, wake up. Lass. Old Man Song's shouts rang in her ears one after another, so noisy that Yiqing Luo's ears were buzzing. She frowned and waved her hand impatiently. What are you doing, Old Man Song? Just as she raised her hand, she suddenly felt a burst of pain. It was the kind of pain that spread from her wrist to the rest of her body. Yiqing Luo didn't feel sleepy at all. Her entire wrist felt like it was being burned by a raging fire. She immediately raised her right arm and saw that the azure dew bracelet on her wrist was actually encircled by a ball of fire. The cherry blossom pattern on the bracelet was constantly rotating. The fire jumped excitedly, burning wave after wave. She reached out to touch it but was forced back by the heat. His entire right hand felt like it was being roasted. Little girl, you're finally awake. Old Song let out a sigh of relief. I didn't think that the white tiger would actually come after smelling your blood. This caused the azure dew bracelet to receive the white tiger's strength, making it somewhat uncontrollable. Yiqing Luo's forehead was dripping with cold sweat. When she heard Old Man Song's explanation, she gritted her teeth and said, What white tiger? You don't know? Old Man Song's spirit body floated in front of Yiqing Luo, landed on the bed and pointed to the side. You didn't bring it back? His line of sight followed Old Man Song's hand. He saw a small white ball nestled at the head of the bed, curled up into a ball, looking very cute. As though it sensed Yiqing Luo's line of sight, It moved and its little body stretched out as it gave a lazy stretch. His face met Yiqing Luo's. That little thing was the size of a palm, and its entire body was snow white, without a single strand of mixed hair. What astonished Yiqing Luo the most was its eyes. A pair of treacherous blood-red eyes, round and shiny, sparkling with a watery light. It was indescribably cute but also indescribably strange. It blinked its eyes with a sleepy appearance. Its little claws scratched its ears and immediately jumped onto Yiqing Luo's stomach. Was this the freaking colossus she saw in her dream just now? Damn. Or did it look like a tiger? Chapter 76. This is the form of the sacred beast to maintain its spiritual qi. Old Man Song explained, once in battle, it will transform into a battle beast form. Yiqing Luo narrowed her eyes, carefully sizing up the white fluffy little thing in front of her. The little thing also blinked back at her with its blank and innocent blood-colored eyes. No matter how she looked at it, it was impossible to imagine that it was the giant beast in her dream that had a sharp howl and made hundreds of thousands of cultivators bow down to it. Wait a minute. Yiqing Luo's hand suddenly touched the little thing's forehead, only to see the word king faintly flashing on its furry forehead. Her fingers had just touched the little thing's forehead. The little thing opened its mouth and let out a soft moan, and actually closed its eyes in enjoyment. Its sharp fangs were incomparably sharp. It is one of the 4 ancient sacred beasts, the white tiger. Old Man Song's voice came again, his tone couldn't conceal his emotions. I didn't expect it to take the initiative to find you. 4 ancient sacred beasts? Mu Ran searched through her memory. Regarding this knowledge, the original owner of the body didn't have a deep memory. She only knew that in the Nirvana realm, there were all kinds of profound beasts. These profound beasts, like humans, were divided into different levels. According to the strength and talent of each profound beast, the ordinary ones were collectively called magic beasts. Magic beasts were divided into low-level magic beasts, middle-level magic beasts, and high-level magic beasts. Further up was the mirage beast level. Mirage beasts had their own consciousness. A small number of them could speak human language and communicate with their masters. There were also 3 levels of low, middle, and high. Above the mirage beast were the legendary sacred beasts. Looking at the entire Nirvana realm, there were only 4 sacred beasts that had always been by the side of the divine emperor in the ancient times. Eastern azure dragon, southern vermilion bird, western white tiger, and northern black tortoise. However, these 4 legendary sacred beasts had long disappeared after the death of the divine emperor. How could one of the ancient sacred beasts find her? Could it be that the sacred beast could see that she was a transmigrator and wanted to take advantage of the good luck of a transmigrator? Don't underestimate it. Old Man Song saw through the suspicion in Yiqing Luo's eyes. He poked her head. It took the initiative to find you and make a contract with you. Therefore, your strength determines its ability. In other words, she was strong, so was White Tiger? She was weak, so was White Tiger? In other words, after forming a contract with her, the White Tiger would lose its power as a holy beast and would only be left with a layer of holy beast power. Only when she grows up step by step, will the White Tiger grow up with her. In that case, it seemed like she was the one who had dragged White Tiger down. The power of the White Tiger has already been sealed within the Azure Dew bracelet. This will be of great help to your cultivation. Old Man Song sensed that the Azure Dew bracelet's scorching heat was gradually dissipating, and his spirit body leisurely drilled into the Azure Dew bracelet. Now you and the White Tiger's power are interchangeable. You can take the opportunity to cultivate your feelings. This old man will go and check if the White Tiger's power is stored properly. In the blink of an eye, Old Man Song was no longer breathing. Roar, roar, the little fellow opened its mouth and cried out a few times. Its little claws kept on holding Yiqing Luo's hand. The palm-sized dumpling was extremely cute. She reached out and stroked its head. White Tiger. The little guy widened his eyes and stared at her with bloodshot eyes as if asking, "What's wrong?" Suddenly, the image of the majestic giant creature in his dream surfaced in his mind. He had already made up his mind. Chapter 77. Chichi? The White Tiger's blood-red eyes flickered slightly. It nodded its small head and roared happily. Obviously, he was very satisfied with his new name. Yiqing Luo teased Chi-Chi for a while more. Looking at the palm-sized little White Tiger's obedient look, the smile on her face grew even wider. In her cat form, Chi-Chi did not have any strange smell. She wondered if Chi-Chi, who had turned into a White Tiger, would be able to make her faint from the stench, just like in her dreams. Thinking of that dream, Yiqing Luo suddenly congealed. He placed Chi-Chi at the head of the bed and sent his divine sense into the azure dew bracelet. Old song. Yiqing Luo saw at one glance that the old man who said he was going to check on White Tiger's power storage was leisurely lying in the thin mist. When Old Man Song heard her voice, he almost fell from the mist. "Lass, aren't you cultivating your relationship with Chi-Chi? Why are you here again?" When he said that, Yiqing Luo was enlightened. It turned out that Old Man Song had been hiding in the azure dew bracelet all along, eavesdropping on her interaction with Chi-Chi. "Old Man Song, are you hiding something from me?" Yiqing Luo frowned slightly and stared at him fiercely. Ever since Chi-Chi appeared, Old Man Song had been acting strangely. Something was definitely wrong. "This old man has many things to hide from you. You are still a little girl. Before the time is right, this old man will not say a word." "Fine, if you don't want to answer, I'll ask." Yiqing Luo raised her brows and raised a finger. "First question, what was that dream I had?" Then he raised his second finger and said, "Second question. Why did the white tiger, one of the 4 great saint beasts, choose me in my dream? On the battlefield that was littered with corpses, no one could see or touch her. Why was Chi-Chi the only one who pounced on him? And even jumped from a dream to reality? After all, it was the first time he came to this world. The original owner's understanding of this world was too little. He was full of questions, but he could not get any answers. Old Man Song was also clearly avoiding her. Moreover, Old Man Song's expression was one of shock when he found out that she had contracted Chi-Chi. However, that kind of surprise was not because she had inexplicably formed a contract with one of the 4 great sacred beasts. Instead, she was surprised that Chi-Chi would take the initiative to look for her. As expected, Old Man Song's expression froze. After a long period of silence, he coughed dryly. "This question, how could I possibly know? I've been sealed in the azure dew bracelet for who knows how many hundreds or thousands of years. I've long since lost track of the matters of the outside world." Yiqing Luo squinted her eyes suspiciously. Seeing that she still wanted to ask, Old Man Song suddenly changed the topic. "That's right, lass, didn't you find the letter your mother left behind in the secret compartment last time?" Yiqing Luo narrowed her eyes as she pondered deeply for a moment. If Old Man Song didn't want to say anything, even if she tried to coerce him, act spoiled and cute, Old Man Song might not say anything. Forget it, when the time comes, Old Man Song will naturally tell her. On this point, Yiqing Luo absolutely believed in Old Man Song. Thus, he didn't pursue the matter any further. Following Old Man Song's words, he said, "Yeah, I haven't had the time to see it yet." That day, in a secret compartment under her pillow, she found 2 letters left behind by her mother. Before she could read them, she was disturbed by Yi Fingyu. Speaking of which, she really should take a look. Why did Yang Qin specially leave 2 letters for her and Xiaoyu? And why did she hide it so deeply? Was it to prevent anyone from discovering it? Yi Tianquang? Yiqing Luo's mind immediately flashed this name. If it was really to prevent Yi Tianquang. Chapter 78. Yiqing Luo pondered for a moment and took out the brocade box her mother left behind from the profound phoenix ring. This was inside the azure dew bracelet, so she didn't have to worry about outsiders around. Anyway, when she woke up, she didn't see Dmo Xian, nor did she sense his presence. Old Man Song dared to appear in her room in his spiritual form. This was enough to prove that Dmo Xian was indeed not in the Three Springs sect. Therefore, she could boldly open the brocade box and take out the 2 letters. Yiqing Luo and her mother's relationship had always been deep. Right now, holding these 2 letters and looking at her mother's familiar handwriting, Yiqing Luo felt her nose turn slightly sour. Her fingers trembled as she opened the envelope. Inside was a piece of yellowed paper. What surprised Yiqing Luo the most was the material of the paper. It obviously looked like a thin piece of paper, but when she touched it, it actually felt like leather. A small piece stacked layer upon layer. When it was spread out on the table, it was the size of half a wooden table. This is... Yiqing Luo was astonished. She stretched out her finger and stroked along the paper. This was not a letter at all, but a map. It was an extremely complicated and dazzling map. On the paper that was the size of half a wooden table, densely packed routes were marked. Even Yiqing Luo couldn't guarantee that she would be able to move unimpeded in this map. Why did her mother leave her such a complicated map? Her heart was filled with mixed feelings. Yiqing Luo's slender brows knitted into a ball. What an intricate map. Old Man Song floated in midair, glanced at the map and couldn't help but sigh. Yiqing Luo suddenly looked up. Do you know what place this map is? Old man Tsang frowned and stared carefully for a while, stroking his grizzled beard. This old man has roamed the Nirvana realm for many years, but I have never seen this map, nor have I seen a place that matches this map? Even old man Tsang didn't know. This map, what kind of place was it? Yiqing Luo glanced at the other letter in the brocade box. She opened it, it was a letter. She thought that in the envelope, there would also be a complicated map. She was still thinking if the box and the 2 letters that her mother left behind were maps. She was going to form a treasure hunting and digging team. Nyangqing's graceful handwriting is on the letter paper. My child, if you sees the brocade box, I implore you to deliver these 2 letters to your sister as soon as possible. What I'm about to say next is what mother wants Luo to say. This map belongs to Luo. Only Luo can reach the final destination. Promise mother that after you get the map, you must not tell anyone. You must protect yourself. This map must not be made known to anyone. Otherwise, it will bring about a fatal disaster. Towards the end, his handwriting became slightly weak, as if he didn't have the strength to continue writing. Yiqing Luo's vision looked towards the map on the table as her expression turned grave. What kind of map was it? And it would bring about a fatal disaster? Yiqing Luo was getting more and more interested in understanding the destination of this map. With a wave of her hand, she stored the map and letter into the profound phoenix ring. As soon as she came out of the azure dew bracelet, Yiqing Luo's ears twitched. She heard the sound of hurried footsteps, sometimes heavy and sometimes light. When she reached the door, Yiqing Luo could hear that person's heavy breathing. Chapter 79. Was Ziling. Yiqing Luo got out of bed just as Ziling rushed in. She held her lame leg and panted anxiously, "Miss 8th young master." 8th young master was punished by master. Yiqing Luo's eyes narrowed. Yi Fengyu's punishment was expected. Yi Tianquang was seriously injured and full of anger. At this critical juncture, Yi Fengyu wanted to express his concern, and at the same time, plead for leniency for his older sister. Yi Tianquang would naturally vent his anger on him. The other concubines had long hated Yi Fengyu for occupying the position of the first wife's son for many years and would fan the flames. With his temper, it would be strange if he didn't suffer. Yiqing Luo was in no hurry. If she didn't let Yi Fengyu suffer and hand over his heart to the wrong person, he would never learn to grow up. Did he follow Yiqing Qian all the way to Yi Tianquang's bedroom? Yiqing Luo didn't even bother to call him by his name. Ziling was startled and immediately looked around. As a daughter, it was unfilial to call an elder by his name. She made sure there was no one around and nodded with relief. Then he knelt outside the bedroom until Yi Tianquang woke up and wanted to plead for me. Instead, he was humiliated by the 2nd and 3rd concubines and sent to the ancestral hall? Ziling's eyes widened. Miss, how do you know so much? Don't tell me, you were there too? Sure enough. Yi Fengyu really followed her plan and carried it out one by one. Should she say that she knew him too well or that he was stupid enough to be understood at a glance? This was also the reason why she specifically asked Ziling to follow behind. To the ancestral hall. Yiqing Luo straightened her clothes and led Ziling to the ancestral hall. She rushed to the ancestral hall and was stopped by 2 guards. 7th Miss, this is the Yi family's ancestral hall. No one can enter without the sovereign's order. The guards were ordered by the 2nd madam to never let Yiqing Luo step into the ancestral hall. Yiqing Luo sneered, is it the sovereign's order or the 2nd concubines? This form of address caused the guards to look at each other, hesitating. Yiqing Luo was the Yi family's first wife's daughter. As for the 2nd madam, she was just a concubine, not even a concubine. Only the people in the mansion called her madam, in order to please the 2nd madam. Thinking of the recent period of time, the entire residence was circulating about Yiqing Luo's change. The 2 attendants immediately felt their hair stand on end. He couldn't move aside, but he also couldn't not move aside. Yiqing Luo ran out of patience. She raised her palms and rolled up 2 huge waves, directly bombarding the chests of the 2 attendants. The attendant flew out. Yiqing Luo led Ziling to kick open the door of the ancestral hall and walked in to take a look. A ball of anger spread in his heart. Her pair of enchanting eyes were also filled with sparks of fire. The ancestral hall was dark, illuminated only by 2 white candles. The candlelight swayed back and forth, illuminating the spirit tablets. It added to the strange atmosphere. 8th young master. After seeing the situation in the ancestral hall, Ziling was also frightened and cried out. Sister. Yifengyu heard the voice and turned to look. That immature and handsome little face was covered with a thick layer of sweat. Yiqing Luo's eyesight could see everything clearly in the dark. She clearly saw that Yifengyu's lips had been bitten and had traces of blood. He grimaced in pain but forced a smile and called out to her, Sister, I'm fine, you go back and rest first. Fine? You call this fine? Chapter 80. Yifengyu knelt in front of the memorial tablet table, wearing only an inner shirt. His inner shirt was torn in several places. Yiqing Luo could see that it was whip marks. What made Yiqing Luo most furious was, her brother was kneeling on the tiles. On a few bumpy and broken tiles. The sharp tiles had cut the skin of Yifengyu's knee and blood oozed out, staining the tiles and the ground red. Those people from the Yi family actually used such cruel means to deal with her brother. Get up. Yiqing Luo strode in, her tone cold. Sister. Yifengyu's face was pale, but he bit his lips and shook his head. Father said that as long as I kneel here for a day and a night, he will forgive you. Get up. Yiqing Luo's tone became heavier, her eyes became colder. Yifengyu opened his mouth and was about to speak. If you don't get up from now on, I don't have a brother like you. Yiqing Luo was really angry. Full of anger, raging in the bottom of her heart. Since I dared to do it, I don't need any forgiveness. What's more, Yi Tianquang is not qualified to talk to me about forgiveness. Yiqing Luo's eyes were cold, directly to Yifengyu. If you still think of me as your sister, stand up now. Sister. Yifengyu looked like he wanted to cry but had no tears. He could see that his sister was really angry. But father was father after all. What his sister did was against filial piety. If this got out, the entire West Continent and even the Nirvana realm would laugh at his sister for a lifetime. He didn't spend much time with his sister, but he knew her temperament very well. If he didn't get up, his sister would definitely turn around and leave, not acknowledging him as her brother. His heart was filled with anxiety. He wanted to move his body, but that only caused the tiles on his knees to dig even deeper into his body. The pain made his body tremble uncontrollably. Ziling, let's go. Yiqing Luo sneered, turned around and left without saying a word. Ziling followed behind, looking at Yifengyu anxiously, then caught up with Yiqing Luo to plead. But when faced with Yiqing Luo's expressionless face, Ziling was stunned speechless. Sister. Yifengyu was anxious, seeing that Yiqing Luo was about to walk out of the ancestral hall. He immediately stood up and wanted to chase after her. Just as he straightened his legs, a tearing pain came from his badly mutilated knees, causing him to suck in a breath of cold air. He fell to the ground, breathing heavily. Sister, don't go, don't go. Yiqing Luo halted her footsteps. But she did not turn back. She just stood at the entrance of the ancestral hall and looked at him coldly with her clear eyes. Miss 8th Young Master's leg. Ziling saw that her miss had softened, so she took the opportunity to speak up, wanting to help Yifengyu. Walk over by yourself. Yiqing Luo's cold voice interrupted Ziling's thoughts. Miss, step by step, walk in front of me and swear to me that you are my Yiqing Luo's younger brother. You have backbone, you have guts. From today onwards, this pair of knees will not kneel to the heavens, not kneel to the earth, not kneel to anyone. Yiqing Luo's voice was cold as ice. She doted on her younger brother Yifengyu. She wanted to train her younger brother well. However, if Yifengyu was unable to mature no matter what, she would definitely not waste her time on a hopeless person. Kneeling is the way of the weak. Chapter 81. Yifengyu stared at Yiqing Luo in a daze, his pupils dilating little by little. In his heart, thousands of waves were set off because of Yiqing Luo's words. He knelt in front of Yi Tianquang's bedroom. He let the second and third household's concubines insult him. Second madam, in order to avenge her own daughter, used a soft whip and ruthlessly lashed him. He thought that this was to make Yi Tianquang forgive Yiqing Luo. So, it was okay for him to suffer a little for his sister. But he forgot Yiqing Luo's character. How could she care about Yi Tianquang's forgiveness? Sister. I understand. Yifengyu lowered his eyes. Thinking of this period of time, Yiqing Luo's teachings and the words she said to him. He was a man. A real man with an indomitable spirit was unyielding, unyielding and unyielding. There were many ways to protect his sister. But this time he chose the stupidest one. Even if he really knelt for a day and night, his father would not let his sister off. There were too many uncertain factors. It was better to grasp all the certainty in his own hands. Yiqing Luo looked at him indifferently, watching his pair of dazed and helpless eyes regain their brilliance. Her worried heart finally felt at ease. Yi Fengyu endured the pain and climbed up. 2 bloody legs, swaying, supported his body. Step by step, he approached Yiqing Luo with incomparable difficulty. Every time he took a step forward, the smile on Yiqing Luo's lips deepened a little, until he walked in front of her. Very good, you better remember today's pain. Yiqing Luo smiled and stretched out her hand to touch his messy hair. Immediately, she looked at Ziling. Bring little you to my courtyard. Ziling got permission, nodded repeatedly and quickly walked to his side, holding his arm. Before the 3 of them had time to go out of the ancestral hall, they heard a sharp mocking voice. 7th Miss, the ancestral hall is where the Yi family's ancestors are placed. How can you behave atrociously here? Outside the door, 2nd Madam, surrounded by several old women, slowly walked in. Old Master is the one who punished 8th Young Master. If you want to take 8th Young Master away, you have to ask for Old Master's permission first. 2nd Madam's eyes were filled with hatred towards Yiqing Luo. How could he not hate them? His 2 precious daughters were seriously injured one after another. Yiqing Ling's jade heart was destroyed, turning her into a cripple. Yiqing Qian was almost disfigured, and if it wasn't for the medicine she got from her maiden family, her eldest daughter's face would really be ruined. All these were caused by this slut Yiqing Luo. Just as the 2nd Madam was about to step into the ancestral hall, a soft voice drifted over with the wind. According to the rules, 2nd Aunt, you are not allowed to enter this ancestral hall. The word 2nd Yinyang caused 2nd Madam's face to turn as pale as paper. What she hated the most were these 3 words. She was a concubine of the Yi family. Her name could not be included in the Yi family's genealogy, nor did she have the right to enter the ancestral hall. 7th Miss is not only ruthless, even your mouth is so powerful. 2nd Madam's eyes were sinister, her hands under her robe tightly curled into fists. Are you human? Yiqing Luo raised her eyebrows slightly, smiling faintly. You. 2nd Madam stretched out her hand and pointed at Yiqing Luo, her whole body trembling with anger. A good dog doesn't stand in the way. Yiqing Luo smiled again. Chapter 82. Yiqing Luo threw a look at Ziling. Ziling understood. She helped Yi Fengyu over the threshold of the ancestral hall and walked out. 2nd Madam glared at Yi Fengyu fiercely, and a few maids behind her went up to stop Ziling. Without Master's order, 8th Young Master must kneel in the ancestral hall today. 2nd Madam growled bitterly. Didn't Yiqing Luo care about her brother? Then she would let Yiqing Luo have a taste of the pain she felt for the people she cared about. She must be prepared to bear the consequences if she dared to hurt her 2 daughters. The more 2nd Madam thought about it, the more hatred burned in her heart. She clenched her fists and a murderous look appeared on her gentle face. Take 8th Young Master back to the ancestral hall. Ziling was a cripple and Yi Fengyu was injured all over. How could they move when those maids blocked their way? Just as the old maids were about to pull them apart with a fierce look, a silent blast of energy exploded around them. Those old maids were inexplicably sent flying. 2nd Madam's expression changed and she took a step back, staring at Yiqing Luo in horror. Speaking of 2nd Madam's identity, it was a bit embarrassing. She was a collateral relative of the Yuqi family. This was also one of the reasons why Yiqing Luo wanted to provoke the feud between the Yuqi family and the Three Springs sect. A collateral relative of a profound practitioner's family naturally had a high level of profound cultivation. 2nd Madam clearly felt that just when the maids were about to catch Ziling and Yi Fengyu, Yiqing Luo's body suddenly rose a cold wave of qi. That wave of qi was so powerful that it made people tremble. Immediately, those maids were sent flying by the wave of qi. However, from beginning to end, Yiqing Luo did not move at all. To be able to release profound qi without making a sound, how strong was Yiqing Luo? 2nd Madam felt a chill down her spine and looked at Yiqing Luo with fear in her eyes. But how could she be willing to bow down to Yiqing Luo? At this moment, suddenly a gentle laughter came. We are all family, why bother to fight and hurt each other's harmony? They looked towards the direction of the voice. A man in a white robe walked over leisurely, waving a folding fan. There was an olive-colored python belt around his waist, and a jade pendant hung from it. His face was also very good. His skin was like jade, and his pair of warm eyes seemed to carry a myriad of tenderness. Yi Fengru, the 2nd Young Master of the Yi clan. Yiqing Luo's mind suddenly flashed this person's name. Sure enough, he lived up to his name, looking like a refined and noble young master. Second young master. The second madam's face darkened when she saw him. The maids around him, as well as Ziling, bowed their heads and greeted respectfully, second young master. Yi Qingluo raised her brows and carefully sized up Yi Fengru as her lips curled into a meaningful smile. Yi Fengru was in the Yi clan. Although he didn't follow Yi Tianquang, he was in charge of the Yi clan's business and Three Springs sect's affairs. However, he was in charge of all the expenses of the Three Springs sect. He was equivalent to the housekeeper of the Yi clan. Although Yi Fengru seemed as warm as jade, his eyes were filled with a bit of gloominess. This person was definitely not as simple as he seemed on the surface. Manage? Family? He really managed this family obediently. In the entire Three Springs sect, who did not respect Yi Fengru. This was the power of Yi Fengru. Second young master, you came at the right time, come and judge. Second madam's eyes rolled and suddenly complained to Yi Fengru. Chapter 83. Second madam pushed everything onto Yi Qingluo and brought up Yi Tianquang's orders. As long as Yi Fengru was willing to stand on her side, Yi Qingluo would not be able to escape today. Yi Fengru lightly swept a glance at Yi Qingluo and immediately shifted his line of sight to the inside of the ancestral hall, on those few tiles. The tiles were stained with blood and so was the ground. Looking at the wounds all over Yi Fengru's body, anyone who wasn't blind could tell what the truth was. Yi Qingluo didn't say anything. She wanted to see who this second brother of hers who was in charge of the inner court, was. All eyes were on Yi Fengru. A moment later, Yi Fengru's lips curled into a faint smile as he stared at Yi Fengru. Just when everyone thought that he was going to judge, they heard him say something irrelevant. Eighth younger brother, I heard that you've been admitted to the Heavenly Academy? What was going on? The second madam's expression immediately changed and she was extremely embarrassed. Yi Fengru was directly ignoring the second madam. He didn't put the second madam in his eyes at all. Yi Qingluo was also slightly stunned, not understanding the meaning of Yi Fengru's words. Yes. I received the admission notice yesterday, Yi Fengru replied softly. Second brother is in high profound class 2. If he is bullied in the academy he can come to class 2 to look for second brother. Yi Fengru's gentle eyes narrowed slightly as if he was happy for his brother. Yi Fengru, who was originally weak and leaning on Ziling's support, suddenly raised his head. Gao Xian, his tone was filled with yearning. Seeing Yi Fengru in a trance, muttering the two words Gao Xian in a daze, the smile on Yi Fengru's face gradually deepened. Eighth younger brother, go back and recuperate. The Heavenly Academy is different from ordinary academies. Yi Fengru pretended to be concerned. For new students who have just entered the academy, other than the admission test there's also the ability test. That's the test that decides which class you'll be assigned to study in. It's extremely important. Yi Fengru's eyes immediately lit up, and the corners of his mouth curled into a faint smile. Thank you for your guidance, second brother. Yi Fengru waved his hand dismissively and motioned for Ziling to quickly help Yi Fengru back. The second madam's face was extremely gloomy. Listening to Yi Fengru and Yi Fengru's brotherly conversation, she gnashed her teeth in anger. Second young master, he can't leave. The second madam stood in front of Yi Fengru. It is the master who wants to punish the eighth young master. The eighth young master cannot leave the ancestral hall. The corner of Yi Fengru's lips curled up, and he displayed a scholarly air. Second mother, eighth brother is only a 15-year-old child. You're making him kneel on such sharp tiles. Aren't you trying to cripple eighth brother's legs? At this point, he suddenly lowered his voice and smiled even more gently. If father knew that you destroyed the legs of the Yi clan's legitimate son, making the Three Springs sect the laughingstock of the Western continent, what would he do? The second madam shuddered and her expression changed drastically. Yi Fengru chuckled a few times, then waved his fan and gracefully left. The second madam was frightened, and when she saw that Yi Fengru's knees were badly mutilated and he couldn't even stand steadily, she didn't dare to act rashly. He immediately ordered the two children in charge of guarding the ancestral hall to clean up the tiles and blood in the hall. He didn't have the mood to bother about Yi Qingluo. Yi Qingluo looked at Yi Fengru's back as he left. Her eyes flashed with a touch of deep thought. This man was really not simple. In just a few words he resolved the matter without offending either side. Chapter 84. Yi Fengru's approach seemed to be another purpose. It's alright, there's plenty of time in the future. She would eventually know Yi Fengru's purpose. Right now, the most important thing was to heal his injuries as soon as possible. Yi Qingluo gathered her thoughts and hurried towards the direction of the abandoned courtyard. Fortunately, his injuries were only superficial wounds. Yi Qingluo took out the medicine that she used to rush to the level of an alchemist. Apply what needs to be applied, eat what needs to be eaten, and drink what needs to be drunk. It would take at most 2 to 3 days for his wounds to be completely healed. What does the assessment competition that Yi Fengru mentioned mean? Yi Qingluo, who was sitting on the bedside, scooped up a spoonful of medicinal soup and sent it to his lips. She had lived for 2 lifetimes and this was the first time she took care of someone. Yi Fengyu was obviously a little uncomfortable as well. He shyly drank the medicinal soup in his spoon and said, "It's the class assignment test. Class allocation assessment?" Yi Qingluo searched her memory. The Heavenly Academy, she had some impression of it. The Heavenly Academy was the best school in the Nirvana realm. It was personally selected by the royal family of the 4 continents as the best school. Countless cultivators had racked their brains to enter the Heavenly Academy. This was not only a place to learn and cultivate profound qi, but also a symbol of status. Because those who graduated from the Heavenly Academy would basically have a place in the Nirvana realm. There had never been any cultivator who failed to make a name for himself. The premise of achieving 0 mistakes was that the Heavenly Academy's admission conditions were too strict. To enter the Heavenly Academy, one had to pass the top 10 assessments. From the comprehensive results of strength, intelligence, ability, potential and other major factors to determine whether one could enter the Heavenly Academy. A person only had 3 chances to take the assessment in his lifetime. Yi Fengyu had always been studying in an ordinary school. The Heavenly Academy was the place he yearned for. After getting the Peerless Immortal Pill from Yi Qingluo, his profound jade heart had been upgraded along with his profound qi. Under Yi Qingluo's influence from time to time, Yi Fengyu's state of mind had long changed. With this promotion there was a huge breakthrough in his strength. He took advantage of the excitement and directly applied for the admission assessment of the Heavenly Academy. He received the admission notice yesterday and actually passed the assessment. "It's good that you passed." Yi Qingluo saw her brother's eyes lit up at the mention of the Heavenly Academy. The anger in her heart had almost dissipated. Ability assessment: don't be too stubborn, even if you are allocated to the low profound class, it's alright. The Heavenly Academy divided all the students into 4 classes according to their profound grade, potential and other comprehensive data. The low profound class was a class for cultivators with low profound levels and low potential. Intermediate profound class: it was a class for those with average profound levels, average potential but overall strength should be above average. The high profound class was a class for cultivators who were outstanding in all aspects. And the last class was the most mysterious class in the Heavenly Academy. It was called the Class of Gods. It was said that the students in that class were either geniuses or freaks. No one knew how many people were in that class or who they were. Who was in the Class of Gods had nothing to do with her. If Yi Fengyu could enter the intermediate profound class, it would already be amazing. Chapter 85. Me to enter the Heavenly Academy? Yi Qingluo squinted her eyes. This proposal could be considered. After all, she was in a different world. Although she had old man Song by her side, most of the time she was self-taught. A little carelessness could easily lead to qi deviation. If there was a professional master to guide her, it would be much better than learning by herself. But her profound jade heart must be tied to DMO Xian. If she wanted to go to the Heavenly Academy, DMO Xian had to follow. Otherwise, if she entered the Heavenly Academy, once the profound jade heart left the mother's power supply for more than a month, it would be easy to be suspected by other students. If others knew that her profound jade heart was just a temporary formation, she was afraid that there would be trouble. What's more, if DMO Xian followed her to the Heavenly Academy, it would set off a storm in the entire Heavenly Academy. Thinking of this, Yi Qingluo shook her head. "Even if I go to the academy, I can't be in the same class as you. You are a man. If you want to protect me, you have to become stronger first. You can't always think of me by your side. I just don't want the people in the family to look down on you." Yi Fengyu pursed his lips and lowered his head slightly. Yi Qingluo's heart trembled and suddenly understood something. Entering the Heavenly Academy represented a symbol of status. If she was admitted into the Heavenly Academy, it would also prove her strength. At least in the Yi family she would have a place for herself. At least, no one would dare to call Yi Qingluo waste anymore. Otherwise, It would be questioning the Heavenly Academy's vision and questioning the Heavenly Academy's teaching standards. Silly child. The smile in Yi Qing Luo's eyes gradually softened as she raised her hand and touched Yi Fengyu's head. As long as the people you care about look up to you, I don't care about others. She didn't care about those unimportant people's opinion of her. She was not a coin, she couldn't make everyone love her. Of course she didn't need everyone to love her. Seeing that Yi Qing Luo had no intention to enter the Heavenly Academy, he had to give up. After drinking the medicinal soup, sleepiness hit and he fell into a deep sleep. Yi Qing Luo let Ziling take care of him while she went to another room and prepared to enter the Azure Dew bracelet to study the teleportation technique. Just as she closed the door, Yi Qing Luo's expression suddenly froze. A cold glint flashed across his calm eyes. Immediately after, his body swayed and in a strange posture, he rolled on the ground and rolled under the table. Yi Qing Luo quickly raised her eyes and saw a pair of purple-patterned boots with unique embroidery outside the table. Luo, you run as soon as you see me. Am I that scary? A chilly voice like the sound of a clear spring cleansed his heart. There was even a hint of a smile in that voice. Yi Qing Luo's face darkened instantly. *CK. Was Diamo Xian. She knew it. How was it possible for someone to appear in her abandoned courtyard without anyone noticing under the range of her senses? Other than the abnormal Diamo Xian who was beyond her imagination, who else could it be? You come and go like a ghost, can't you at least give me a greeting? Yi Qing Luo abruptly lifted the table, her petite body stood ramrod straight as she raised her little face and stared fiercely at him. Luo's vigilance is so strong, I haven't had time to greet you. Diamo Xian's face was full of smiles, slightly curved narrow eyes, sparkling with charm. When a normal person entered the house, they would feel a strong aura rushing towards them and would instinctively avoid it. Or, was this the Overlord's unique way of greeting? Chapter 86. Yi Qing Luo's pupils constricted slightly. You don't have to be so vigilant in front of me. These words were like a stone, splashing a ripple in her heart that was as calm as still water. Since young, she had been designated as the future head of the family. And those sanctimonious elders were thinking of ways to take her life. To survive, she had to make herself strong. If she wanted to survive, she had to be alert every day. Even in her dreams, the slightest sound would wake her up. Even if she had become strong enough and stood in the position of the head of the family, in charge of the entire hidden family, her strong perception had become a habit. No one could make her let down her guard. As long as I am here, no one will hurt you and there will be no danger. Diamo Xian's smile was so wild and confident. Yes, he was the overlord that everyone respected. No one in the world could match him. Indeed, he had the capital to be wild and confident. It was true that there was no danger by his side. If he wanted to protect her, no one could hurt her. But, Yi Qing Luo raised that pair of bewitching eyes, but the bottom of her eyes was clear. Her cherry-colored lips moved slightly. No, you will not be by my side forever. I, Yi Qing Luo, do not need anyone's protection. The reason why you are standing in front of me now is because I have something that you need. Not taking it is just because the time is not right. Once the time is right, you will not hesitate to kill me, won't you? The cold voice stated the truth word by word. Yi Qing Luo wasn't a fool, she wouldn't be so silly to put her trust in a man whom she didn't know at all. Diamo Xian was too powerful, too mysterious, he was not a man she could control. Once the thing he wanted was taken away, once she was of no use to him, Diamo Xian would not hesitate to kill her. The atmosphere was silent for as long as half an incense stick. Diamo Xian was slightly stunned and suddenly burst into a low laugh. His slender fingers pressed against his fair forehead and shook his head. He smiled helplessly and dotingly. Luo, you really are a wonderful person. These were indeed his initial thoughts when he first met her. But now, this little girl was very interesting. It would be a pity to kill her. If there's nothing else, go back to where you came from and don't disturb my cultivation. Yi Qing Luo finished her words and waved her hand as if she was waving a fly. Then he walked directly towards the bed. Gazing at Yi Qing Luo's back view, Diamo Xian's deep and serene eyes gleamed. After a while, his thin lips curled upwards as his long legs strode towards Yi Qing Luo, until it stopped beside the bed. Yi Qing Luo had just placed her legs on the bed and had yet to lie down when she saw a figure standing by the bedside. She looked up at him. Sir, is there anything else? Diamo Xian shook his head, his jet black hair fluttering in the wind as it cascaded down from his shoulders, further accentuating that peerless face of his. captivating one's soul. A wisp of it landed on Yi Qing Luo's arm. She waved it away, raised her arm and pointed at the door. Turn left and walk 10 steps ahead. I won't be seeing you out. Just as she finished speaking, her outstretched arm was grabbed by a white hand. With a stretch of his long arm, the woman's soft body was pulled into the man's broad embrace. Chapter 87. Yi Qing Luo's mind was in a mess. Invite my ass. Yi Qing Luo flipped her hand and threw a slap at DMO Xian's face. Her hand was just raised when it was caught by DMO Xian. Both her hands were easily held by DMO Xian just like that. Yi Qing Luo gritted her teeth in anger, but her body was pressed by the man and she could only glare at him fiercely. Ah Luo. DMO Xian's long and narrow eyes narrowed slightly, revealing a bit of demonic luster. He called her name in an exceptionally deep and husky voice. Then, his peerlessly handsome face came into contact with hers. Their foreheads touched, their eyes met, and the tips of their noses touched. His warm breath sprayed on Yi Qing Luo's face. His dark red thin lips were slightly hooked. At such a close distance, there was a fluffy luster as if tempting to pluck it. Yi Qing Luo inexplicably thought of the kiss with DMO Xian. That was her first kiss. Her nose was filled with the man's elegant sandalwood scent. Vaguely, she seemed to feel the soft touch of the man's lips. Damn. This evildoer was really an evildoer. This was too brainwashing. Yi Qing Luo couldn't wait to give herself 2 slaps. It's not like she had never seen a handsome guy. Was it necessary to look at DMO Xian like a love-struck fool? Love-struck fool my ass. I saw it in your eyes. DMO Xian's voice was lower and deeper, like mellow wine, intoxicating. Your infatuation for me? Infatuation your sister. Yi Qing Luo couldn't help but burst out vulgarities. Damn it. She originally wanted to be a happy lady, but met this evildoer, she was forced to become a shrew. The smile on DMO Xian's lips gradually deepened. Wind, who was in the dark, saw the situation in the room. His cold and stiff face twitched a few times. He turned around stiffly, no longer looking at his own overlord who had long lost his moral integrity. He sighed helplessly. It's okay. Whatever the overlord does, he has his reasons. As long as the overlord is happy, it's okay. Inside the house. Yi Qing Luo was pinned down for a while before her face turned cold. How long do you want to maintain this position? DMO Xian raised his brows slightly. If you want, you can maintain it for as long as you want. I don't want it at all. Yi Qing Luo gritted her teeth word by word. Let me go. DMO Xian chuckled lowly, not letting go. What would happen if a shameless person met an even more shameless person? Answer, there's no solution. Damn it. Overlord, I'm still an unmarried virgin. You snuck into my room, hugged me and touched me. Do you want to marry me? Yi Qing Luo's charming eyes were filled with a sliver of fury, as she simply smashed the broken jar. She didn't believe that this wouldn't scare him. However, Yi Qing Luo had underestimated DMO Xian's shamelessness. After hearing Yi Qing Luo's words, the smile on his lips widened. His slender fingers tightened their grip on her jaw. A strand of long black hair fell on her face. If you dare to marry, I dare to marry. His dark eyes squinted slightly, revealing extreme laziness. From his eyes, Yi Qing Luo could tell. He was not joking. Dared to marry, he dared to marry? Her heart seemed to be provoked. Yi Qing Luo raised her little face, arrogantly squinted at DMO Xian, and said domineeringly, If you dare to marry, I dare to marry. Chapter 88. Domineering words and undisguised arrogant expression. DMO Xian's eyes were filled with interest. These days he had learned about all the deeds that Yi Qing Luo had done from guardian phone. These 2 days he had been observing secretly. He had some understanding of Yi Qing Luo's character. Vengeful, ruthless and decisive. She seemed indifferent and heartless, but when it comes to the people she cared about, she would use her own way to help the other party. Especially that pair of eyes, charming, cold and arrogant, deeply attracted his attention. This woman was different from ordinary women. There was a feeling that was extremely similar to him. A decision was formed in his heart. Come to think of it, in the future he would not be lonely. I will remember your words. DMO Xian loosened the restraint on Yi Qing Luo and slowly straightened up. His fingers circled around his chest. In the future I will come back to fulfill the promise between us today. Promise? What nonsense promise? Did he really treat what he said earlier as a verbal agreement between both parties? Hey. Did he misunderstand something? She was about to open her mouth to clarify that what she said earlier was absolutely not a promise. But she saw Diamo Xian sitting by the bed with a serious face. Your brother's suggestion can actually be considered. The topic changed and Yiqing Luo didn't want to repeat the issue of marriage. Otherwise, Diamo Xian would think that she was crazy for marrying. Yiqing Luo also put on a serious expression, raised her eyebrows and asked, admitted to the Heavenly Academy? Diamo Xian actually suggested her to enter the Heavenly Academy? Entering the Heavenly Academy is a good start for you. Diamo Xian nodded slightly. Although his attitude was lazy, but the words that came out of his mouth were worth considering. The reason why the Heavenly Academy is famous in the Nirvana realm is not only because of the school's strict enrollment, but more importantly, their strict teaching. You just started cultivating profound chi, your profound grade is not stable. If there is no master to guide you, you will easily go astray. The Heavenly Academy can help you to stabilize your own foundation. These thoughts were exactly the same as Yiqing Luo's thoughts. Whether it was cultivation or anything else, the foundation was the most important. As long as he had a solid foundation, he would be invincible. Luo, I've settled the matters in the Imperial Palace. I'll accompany you to the Heavenly Academy. Diamo Xian's lips curled into a smile as he leaned back. That pair of long, narrow, and devilishly charming black eyes glowed with rippling light. You want to tag along? Yiqing Luo frowned. Without thinking, she directly rejected, no, you can't go. Who was Diamo Xian? The legend of the Nirvana realm. If he went to the Heavenly Academy, wouldn't the Academy be in a mess? How could he happily learn the method of cultivating qi? I'll be in the dark. Diamo Xian suddenly leaned forward and his jet black eyes coincidentally met with Mu Rant's line of sight. Won't cause you any trouble. Get straight to the point, what's your motive? Yiqing Luo didn't shift her gaze away as she looked straight into his eyes. Then she blinked her charming eyes, which were clear and cold. In your eyes, whatever I do, I have ulterior motives? Diamo Xian's eyes darkened as his slender fingers stretched forward. Yiqing Luo thought that he wanted to hook her chin again and quickly retreated. But unexpectedly, the back of her head coincidentally bumped into Diamo Xian's palm. He retracted his long arm and Yiqing Luo's entire body was pressed to the front of her chest by his huge palm. Chapter 89. The strong and powerful heartbeat was extremely rhythmic. The rich masculine scent and elegant sandalwood scent assailed her nostrils. This sandalwood scent, this body temperature, it was really captivating and intoxicating. To be honest, Yiqing Luo was stunned for a moment. This man always flirted with her when she wasn't paying attention. His actions had also activated the coolness and craziness of pulling down the sky. If Diamo Xian claimed to be the second best at flirting, no one would dare to claim to be the best. Luo, just as Diamo Xian called out her name in a husky and magnetic voice. Yiqing Luo suddenly pushed him away and raised her head. Yes, I heard you. Diamo Xian's brows relaxed a little as the corners of his eyes rose slightly. Yiqing Luo continued, I heard you do have other motives. She looked at Diamo Xian in silence. After a while, her charming eyes floated a pinch of crushed ice, glinting coldly. I'm not like those ladies in the boudoir, I'm not that stupid. Yiqing Luo stated her own views unhurriedly. The number one person in the Nirvana realm, the legendary overlord, fell in love at first sight with me, a famous waste from Three Springs sect, and wanted to marry me and so on. I've never thought about it. I'm not that arrogant nor that narcissistic. To make the dignified overlord willing to sacrifice his beauty to lure me into the trap. I guess there must be a reason for the overlord to go to the Heavenly Academy. After Yiqing Luo finished, her charming eyes lifted lazily and glanced at Diamo Xian. Not a word. As if waiting for Diamo Xian's answer. However, Diamo Xian did not speak. His lips hooked into a smile. That smile did not reach the bottom of his eyes. It was so cold that it sent chills down one's spine and made one tremble. Inexplicably, Yiqing Luo felt flustered. She opened her mouth and wanted to say something, but when the words came to her mouth, they were shocked by that pair of black eyes and she could not spit out a word. That pair of eyes had no emotions. However, everyone could clearly feel the chill that came from his bones. With a flick of his sleeve, the man let go of her head and turned towards the door. Diamo. Her voice had yet to leave her throat. The purple figure had only taken a few steps before disappearing into the air. Not a trace of him could be seen. Yiqing Luo slid down the bed and searched around the house a few times. She specially used her perception to carefully sense the entire range of the abandoned courtyard. There was no sign of Dmo Xian. He left. Just like when he came, he was ethereal and silent. Yiqing Luo pursed her pink lips tightly and returned to the bedside resentfully as she leaned against the headboard weakly and sat down. She knew that Dmo Xian was furious. And he was very, very angry. Her doubts and distrust had agitated Dmo Xian. She did not know where Dmo Xian had gone to this time. Would he appear again? If Dmo Xian did not appear on his own accord, even if she searched the entire Nirvana realm, she might not be able to find Dmo Xian. The only thing he could do was to wait for him to calm down before he took the initiative to appear. But Yiqing Luo didn't regret her decision. She had never put her back in someone else's hands. She had never been forced to hand over the person behind her. The relationship between Dmo Xian and her was at most that of the profound heart Jade's mother and individual. Other than that, they could only be considered as strangers. She did not believe Dmo Xian and doubted him, which was a normal thing. She was not targeting Dmo Xian, but she would not trust anyone. Forget it, Dmo Xian had left, so be it. She flipped her hand and a small kitten the size of 2 palms suddenly appeared in her palm. With a leap, it pounced into Yiqing Luo's arms. Chapter 90. On the 3rd day after Dmo Xian left, Yiqing Luo brought Chi out of the azure dew bracelet. The room was silent. Yiqing Luo got off the bed and subconsciously looked at the place where Dmo Xian stood. It was empty, no one was there. There wasn't his unique sandalwood scent in the air. He hadn't come back for the past few days. Perhaps it was because Dmo Xian was angered by her. Yiqing Luo felt an inexplicable sense of guilt. What kind of weird feeling was this? This was the first time she had such a feeling. Could it be that what she said that day was too much? It seemed it was indeed too much. Yiqing Luo started self-reflection. After all, the other party was the noble overlord. He was willing to lower himself to be by your side. You should be satisfied. Why bother asking the other party's purpose? Maybe the overlord was just bored and didn't have a purpose at all? After self-reflection, Yiqing Luo pursed her lips. She suddenly remembered that Dmo Xian had arranged a spy by her side. That black-robed youngster called Wind. Why not ask him? If Wind was there, it meant that Dmo Xian was just sulking and would come back after his anger subsided. If Wind wasn't there, that meant Dmo Xian planned to never appear in front of her again. If Dmo Xian didn't appear, it meant that the temporary profound jade heart in her body could only last for another month. Yiqing Luo exhaled a mouthful of impure air and placed her palm on her chest, feeling the profound qi lingering around the profound jade heart. She really hated the feeling of putting her fate on someone else's hands. She must find her profound jade heart as soon as possible. Otherwise, she could only rely on other people's strength to live. She didn't realize that she, who had always been indifferent to anything and any strangers, would actually waste time to ponder over a man's heart. Yiqing Luo cleared her throat and called out in a probing manner, "Wind?" Her line of sight surveyed the surroundings. There was no sound. Yiqing Luo spread out her perception and once again probed for an unfamiliar presence. "Wind, there's something about Dmo Xian that I want to talk to you about." She had just spat out the 3 words Dmo Xian, when a whirlwind suddenly blew in the room. The wind stopped. A young man dressed in black stood at the door. His face was cold and emotionless. "What is it?" Yiqing Luo squinted her eyes. Sure enough, Dmo Xian's follower was still around. As expected of one of Lord Dizun's subordinates. His ability to conceal his aura was truly impressive. She couldn't sense Ah Feng's aura at all, even though Ah Feng was standing right in front of her. Wind should be Dmo Xian's secret guard. "I'm fine now." Yiqing Luo collected her thoughts, smiled and shook her head. Since it was confirmed that Wind was still monitoring her in the dark, that proved that Dmo Xian would appear again. It looked like there was something on her that attracted Dmo Xian and he was determined to get it. Wind frowned as his face was filled with disgust. "Yiqing Luo, don't go too far. If the Overlord wants to kill you, it's just a matter of moving his fingers. Do you really think His Majesty wants something from you?" Yiqing Luo was slightly stunned. Just as she was about to reply, Wind turned into a whirlwind and disappeared in front of Yiqing Luo. As though he didn't want to be alone with Yiqing Luo for even a second. Yiqing Luo didn't care about Wind's departure. His heart was rippling with ripples. That's right. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.